Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Awakens Celestial Chakra. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The day in Konohagakure was splendid. For one Naruto Uzumaki, the world was perfect, the sun was shining, the birds were singing. The recently graduated genin left the academy practically skipping, his smile beaming brighter than the sun. Three things were on his mind. 1. He was amazing. 2. He needed Ichiraku ramen, the food of the gods, and may all who disagree burn like the heretics that they are. And 3. Maybe, now that they were on the same team, Sakura Haruno, the most intelligent kunoichi in his class and his crush, would finally agree to go on a date. For years, Naruto had been attempting to win the girl's affections, but each time, the pinkette had rejected him. But that would be different today. That would be today. He was in a very good mood and nothing could make him feel worse. In light of that, let's. The boy casually asked his crush, Sakura. Chan, hey Sakura. Chan. Now that we're on the same team, would you go out with me? And followed her outside. She must have had time, surely? After all, they had just been told by their now former academy instructor Iruka Amino that they had a few months before their teams reported for active duty. The daimyo had apparently recently been the target of an attack, and as a result, he had asked for the assistance of some of Konoha's best shinobi to defend him and neutralize the threat. Unfortunately, this meant that until they could guarantee the daimyo's safety, the majority of the new team's jonin captains, instructors would not be present. On the plus side, though, he now had 2 whole months to kill in addition to training and other obligations. And going on a date is the ideal way to pass the time. Besides, they could always try getting to know each other better even if she declined. They were now on the same team, after all. Regretfully, Sakura's perspective differed from Naruto's. The girl had actually had a terrible day, aside from joining the same team as Sasuke Uchiha, proving that true love does conquer all, Shanaru. It all began when she slept in too late and forgot to put on makeup in order to look presentable for Sasuke. She then understood that if she didn't skip breakfast and head out right away, she wouldn't only miss the team announcements but also her opportunity to sit next to the Uchiha, which her rival, Ino, would undoubtedly take advantage of because she was a vicious bitch. Furthermore, Sakura vowed to never allow the Yamanaka to defeat her in any endeavor. Unfortunately, she experienced the most horrific events in class, and it seemed as though the gods were trying to ruin her life. Something inside of her shriveled up and died, or puked, because it had been so awful, so terrible, so mercilessly wretched. Her heart had broken. She could not decide which. You might wonder, what went wrong? She did, however, witness Sasuke's first kiss, which Naruto stole. Via Naruto. Damn it, that kiss was supposed to be hers. It goes without saying that she became enraged with Naruto after that action, so when he approached her and made the mistake of asking her out once more, she lost it. Would you just shut up, you stupid, annoying, useless shinobi wanna be? You've asked me 1,000 times already and I've rejected you every single fucking time. Why don't you just get it into your thick head that I don't want to go out with you and no girl in their right mind would ever even consider going out with someone as ugly and pathetically weak as you? Sakura gave a frustrated huff and went off to find her other teammate, which I think is more like stalking him. Even though she felt better after letting her frustration out, she couldn't help but wonder if she had been too strict. Eventually, sure that Naruto would recover, she put her blonde teammate's worries aside and concentrated on catching up to Sasuke. Why would this be any different from the numerous times he did that after she rejected him? It aches. This sensation is extremely painful. Why? She said those things, but why? Was it truly them that she meant? Naruto experienced heartbreak. What little pride he really had was completely crushed, and his excitement over today's events vanished. Never before had he felt so hopeless or been able to quiet the doubtful thoughts that were now taking over his mind, casting doubt on Sakura's assertions and his own value. Was his level of shinobi really that low? Was he really so ugly and vile that no girl would ever want to go out with him? Of all the times he had asked her out, Sakura had never been so cruel as that one. Sure, he can be aggressive, annoying, and sometimes even mean, but he's never been so mean as to suggest that no girl in her right mind would go out with him. Who would, though, willingly go out with the Kyuubi vessel? Naruto had never considered it previously, but now he understood how risky it would be for a girl to express interest in him, particularly given how unfavorable and occasionally violent the villagers could be. Naruto closed his eyes, bowed his head, and fought back the tears that were about to fall. The hatred of the villagers had kept him from crying for years, and he was not going to cry now. Despite the hurt he felt and the melancholy thoughts that would not go away, he was stronger than that. Naruto? The blonde boy looked up, startled, and saw his favorite teacher approaching him with a worried expression on his face. Are you alright, Naruto? The frown on Iruka's face told me that his attempt at a fake smile was a complete failure. Nevertheless, he said, of course I am, Iruka. Sensei. Who do you think I am? I'm going to be Hokage someday, after all. The disfigured Chunin was not persuaded. Naruto, I saw and heard everything. Naruto tensed up. His mask came off and one of the few people who truly cared about him saw his bleak expression. Nay, Iruka. Sensei, is she right? Am I really that terrible a shinobi? Do you think I'm ugly? Hearing the pain in his favorite student's voice, Iruka's heart broke. Without any delay, he lowered himself to meet her eye level and spoke in a comforting voice. I am going to be totally honest with you, Naruto. What Sakura said and how she said it was unforgivable. I believe that you are a great person and that anyone would be lucky to have you in their life. I also think you have the potential to be a fantastic shinobi. After all, you saved me last night, didn't you? Naruto hesitated. But can you be better? Are there things you should work on? Absolutely. What do you mean? How do you think the Hokage got to where he is today? He trained. He never stopped learning. But Naruto objected, Iruka. Sensei. I do train. And I learned the Kage Bunshin last night. Yes, you did. But how well do you know your new jutsu? Do you know all its strengths and weaknesses? What about its limits? Its variations and uses? Did you know that a Kage Bunshin can be dispelled after one good hit? Naruto's gaze expanded. That was something he was unaware of. Ultimately, he had only employed the method during his battle with Mizuki, and the traitor was never given the opportunity to fight back or even destroy one of his clones. Did you know that whenever a clone dispels, anything it learns mentally will be transferred back to you? Even more so, that startled the Jinchuriki. There's a lot more about that technique, or any technique for that matter, that you need to know before you can really say you've mastered it. This is just one of the reasons why you must never stop training or learning if you want to get stronger. I think I understand, Iruka. Sensei. Good. That's all I ask. Anyo, is there anything else I should work on? Iruka grinned. No matter how strong a shinobi becomes, there is always something that can be improved on. For you, I'd recommend working on your bukajutsu, your chakra control, and especially your taijutsu. I don't know why you chose not to learn the academy style, but your own fighting style looks more suited for a brawler and that won't cut it in a fight with a shinobi. Naruto winced. But the academy style is so boring. And it always felt uncomfortable to me. That was quite the brain-teaser. To the best of Iruka's knowledge, the shinobi library did not stock many taijutsu styles, at least not that he could imagine would suit the blonde. Well, perhaps you can go ask the Hokage. I'm sure he has a couple scrolls on taijutsu styles you can learn. Naruto gave a nod. At least it was worth a try. I would also recommend you getting a different uniform. Glancing down at his clothes, the boy questioned, what's wrong with what I'm wearing? A professional should have a uniform that's more practical and not orange. But orange is awesome. He seemed genuinely offended, Kami. To Iruka's amusement, a dark cloud formed over Naruto's bowed head at the diss toward the awesomeness that is orange. Orange isn't practical for a shinobi, at least not for one in Hai no Kuni. You would easily be spotted in the forests here and shinobi are supposed to be able to remain unseen. Maybe in Tsuchi no Kuni, it could work, but certainly not here. Just think about it, Naruto. And think about all the shinobi you've seen in Konoha, the ones you thought were strong, and ask yourself what are they doing that you aren't right now? That was a thought-provoking question, and Naruto couldn't help but ponder it. The academy instructor stood grinning, seeing this and feeling satisfied that he had not only helped someone he considered a little brother deal with an incredibly harsh rejection, but that he had also helped set Naruto on a path that would only make him stronger. Now, I have to go, but promise me you won't let what Sakura said bother you anymore, okay? The Jinchuriki gave a scowl, but he still nodded and waved to the wounded Chunin. With a sigh, he turned right away and started moving in the direction of the Hokage monument. It was his favorite place to unwind and consider his life. He had a lot on his mind, that much was clear. Perched atop the Yondaime Hokage's head, Naruto observed the village that despised him and thought, it's strange. I want to protect this village even after everything that it has done for me. He was not really sure why he was feeling this way. At some deep level, Naruto thought he could actually sense the anguish and suffering the villagers went through whenever a disaster struck, such as the night of the Uchiha massacre or the attempted kidnapping of the Hyuga family. And particularly on the days of his birthday and the anniversary of the Kyuubi attack, on those days and nights, when the villagers' emotions were running high with tears and grief, his desire to shield them from harm and from the forces that would bring them such grief and suffering was at its strongest. He also desired their approval and recognition. He desired to be regarded as a respected member of Konoha rather than as despised vermin, and he no longer wished to be laughed at. Maybe that was why he had pursued Sakura so hard in the beginning. Naruto searched through his memories and saw that, at some point, he had convinced himself that, if a girl as intelligent and attractive as Sakura could come to like him, then he would eventually win the respect and interest of the villagers. If that did fade rather quickly, she had also been the first person his age to be nice to him. That and the annoyingly obstinate aspect of him that just would not give up, especially when it came to Sasuke. But now he understood the reason the villagers despised him. As the Kyuubi no Yoko, they perceived him. As a result, Naruto realized that his current goal was to stop being perceived as a monster and that his previous goal of winning the village's recognition was no longer relevant. He desired to be recognized as Naruto Uzumaki by the villagers. I have to change if I want the village to see me as more than just the demon that's sealed inside of me. I have to alter their perception of me. And he sighed. I really ought to give up chasing Sakura. After all that had transpired today, it seemed like a good place to start to turn the page and break off his crush on Sakura. Sakura had been very clear that it would be a waste of her time, after all. So should he look for and approach other girls, or should he give up completely? At the thought, Naruto gave a slight shake of his head. He had never really given the kind of girls he liked much thought, now that he thought about it. He desired girls who were intelligent, attractive, and most importantly, mature enough to see through the sealed Kyuubi and recognize him for the real him. Put simply, he desired recognition and appreciation from someone. Sadly, only a small number of people fell into that category, and all but 3 of them were male. Although he was aware that some of the more senior female shinobi tolerated him, he doubted that they would ever view him romantically. Let's face it, Naruto was aware of his lack of physical attractiveness. Sakura had literally hammered that viewpoint into his mind in certain instances. He'd heard Sakura and Ino talking a lot about his terrible sense of style, and they didn't think he could do anything about it because no store would sell him anything. Besides, he had drawn attention with the orange outfit. A substantial amount. It practically screamed, "Look at me." After all, he started playing tricks and kept wearing the ugly orange shirt because, in his younger years, he valued attention much more than his grades. All his skills had been undermined by playing practical jokes, except for trap making and stealth. Naruto was aware that his abilities were far from exceptional, even though he had defeated Mizuki. His 3 graduation failures were proof of this. Hell, he was still unable to perform a basic bunshin, which was regarded as one of the most fundamental shinobi skills. Overall, Naruto could see that girls wouldn't bother to stop and stare at him. He also realized that it would probably be best to give up on women for the time being until he could completely transform himself into someone deserving of respect. Instead, concentrate on developing into a genuine Konoha shinobi. But where should one begin? Reflecting on Iruka's words, Naruto made an effort to list every powerful shinobi he had ever encountered. The Hokage and a few Jonin and Anbu he had dealt with were the ones that immediately sprang to mind. What did they possess that he was lacking? Experience. That was the first, easiest thing that came to mind. However, it was the one item he was unable to obtain prior to being called up to active duty. He was also aware of their continuous training. When they weren't on a mission or hurt, they were practicing and honing their craft every day. How did he act? Play tricks, have fun, and brag about how he would become Hokage without ever really trying to train. That was not how an honorable shinobi would behave. He was going to change that for sure, but what else was there? Oh, I'm not sure. Perhaps I ought to ask Gigi. Yes. That seemed like a wise decision. That is, after he tried getting dressed and had a bite to eat. Despite the fact that the Sandaime is and will always be his stand. In Gigi, it wouldn't hurt to act a little more politely since the man was still the Hokage. Besides, he was making an effort to act more maturely. It's better to get going right away. Orange, orange. And guess what? There's more orange. Other than a couple of shirts, shorts, and pajamas, he had nothing at all that wasn't orange. Naruto added that he had nothing that would be deemed useful for a shinobi, save for the jumpsuit. The shirts and shorts he owned were not made with longevity in mind. I'm pretty sure they would disintegrate after just one training session. Buying new clothes was his only option, and that in and of itself worried him. Several of the store owners had literally thrown him out after refusing to let him purchase anything from them. Maybe he could get in some of the shinobi. Only stores? He saved up a respectable sum of money. Naruto hurriedly left his house to look for a legitimate shop that offered ninja gear. As was to be expected, the first few stores saw him right away and turned him away. However, Naruto had a thought as he got closer to the third store. What if he looked like someone else? Worth a try was that. Henge no Jutsu, transformation technique. The teenager that took Naruto's place had long black hair, dark brown eyes, a simple shirt, a short outfit, and his hite. 8 tied across his forehead to prove to the store owners that he was a ninja. He exhaled deeply and entered the Higarashi's blades and armors, praying to the ramen gods that he wouldn't be ejected. Here goes nothing, he exclaimed. But as soon as he stepped inside, his concerns vanished when he saw the endless rows of shinobi gear arranged throughout the store. A sizable portion of the shop was devoted to various weaponry and equipment, such as weights, kunai, shuriken, and swords of various kinds, many of which Naruto had never heard of before. He had the impression that he could spend hours exploring everything he had never seen or heard about, and that he could easily get lost in this place. There was no doubt that this was the place to be for a young genin like himself. That's when the store owner showed up. The shopkeeper stopped and looked at him. "Ah, welcome. How may I help you?" Naruto started to perspire right away, thinking the man had already figured him out. His suspicions were confirmed when the man said, "Kai, release," while bringing his hands together in a hand seal. Knowing he would be kicked out of the shop, Naruto cursed mentally as his illusion vanished and turned to leave. However, he was startled to feel a hand grab his shoulder. The shopkeeper scowled after observing Naruto's quick departure and the fear that appeared on the boy's face as soon as he touched his shoulder. Gosh, the villagers truly took a toll on him. Minato, you would be embarrassed by what they did to your son. Where are you going, kid? I thought you came here to buy something, the man asked in a light-hearted manner. Naruto was astounded. All he could manage to say was a very well spoken, "What?" The shopkeeper laughed and said, "If you keep that up, kid, you'll catch flies. And I know what you're thinking, kid. Don't worry. I ain't got no problems with you. But what about the Kyuubi? Oh, so you know about your burden. Well, that certainly makes things a lot simpler. I, for one, have always respected the Yondaime's wishes and I know he wanted you to be seen as a hero. Plus, I have full confidence in his sealing abilities." Naruto's gaze widened. "You are always welcome in my shop, Naruto." Naruto's eyes widened even more, if that was possible. He could also feel the tears starting to flow again because he had found someone who did not consider him to be the demon, and this man also happened to be a store owner who would not overcharge him. He quickly wiped away his tears and turned to face the gentleman. Naruto bent and said, "Thank you so much, sir." "Gaki, you're very welcome." Hideki Higurashi, proprietor of the Higarashi's blades and armors, greeted them with pride. He was in his mid-40s, with dark brown hair, a well-groomed beard, and piercing green eyes. His physique was reasonably well built, likely from his extensive forging experience, and he wore a simple shirt and pants. "So what you need?" "Well, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure what exactly I should get, but Iruka Sensei advised me to get a new uniform that looks more professional." "Don't worry. I take it you recently graduated?" Naruto gave a shy nod. "By the way, congratulations on that. In any case, you'll need a few basic weapon sets, such as explosive tags, kunai, shuriken, and ninja wire. You really ought to get rid of that outfit. Orange, really, kid? Who are you, blind to color? Hey. Orange is fantastic. Why is the orange being derided by everyone? Because it's not as great as you think it is. And to be completely honest with you, kid, the Kyuubi had orange fur. It was a darker shade of orange, but orange nonetheless. It would be a good idea to stop wearing that color if you truly want people to stop viewing you as the demon. He hadn't considered it that way. Well, crap. In any case, you'll want something that's both lightweight and strong. The best colors for a genin are black, gray, navy, and green because you'll be primarily doing missions in Hai no Kuni or nearby. Ah, I see. Accompany me. 30 minutes later, as soon as Naruto arrived home, he changed into an outfit fit for a Konoha shinobi. The orange nightmare he had been wearing was gone. He would hold a proper funeral for it later. Sniff, goodbye, orange jumpsuit. And in its place was a mesh undershirt underneath the form. Fitting navy blue tank top turtleneck, a pair of dark gray cargo pants with plenty of pockets to conceal weapons and scrolls and steel. Tipped boots in lieu of his sandals. Additionally, he had, on Hideki's advice, bought a pair of arm warmers with steel guards attached and fingerless steel plated gloves. His hite hung loosely around his neck, giving some protection to the vulnerable area while also letting. Overall, he had a fierce appearance. Glancing in the mirror, Naruto couldn't help but smile. He looked completely different, much more professional, in his humble opinion. In fact, he felt like a real shinobi now than he had 5 minutes before. All right. It's time to visit Gigi. Grumble, grumble, should all just burn, grumble, grumble, Kami. Sama, save me, grumble, grumble, Shinigami. Sama, just take me now. He had been standing outside the closed doors for the past 5 minutes, thinking that Sarutobi was in a meeting until he actually caught some of the words that the man was saying and knew instantly what the elderly shinobi was talking about. Turning to the secretary, Naruto couldn't help but sweat when he heard the mumbled curses coming from the Hokage's office. Exasperated, the woman sighed, 3 hours, Naruto. Kun. Is today's situation truly that bad? It's usually pretty bad on the day of graduation, but it became a whole lot worse with the daimyo situation. Shaking his head, Naruto concluded that he'd better get to work saving the Sandaime Hokage from the scourge of all leaders. Paperwork. Entering with a cheerful, "Yo, Gigi." He mused, I wonder why Gigi never used Kage Bunshin to do paperwork. The Hokage turned to face Naruto, his mouth dropping open. Naruto? The one and only. How come? Don't know who I am with my new appearance. To Naruto. Kun, I nearly didn't. I must say, you look pretty good in your new attire, Sarutobi grinned. He looks exactly like you, Minato. I simply felt that a change was necessary. I mean, I'm a shinobi now. You have to act more professionally. Naruto. Kun, you are correct. That you are putting serious effort into your work makes me very happy. Anyo. Are you able to assist me in that way? With a raised eyebrow, the Hokage asked, what do you mean? Since our Jonin senseis aren't expected to return for at least 2 months, I wanted to make the most of that time to strengthen myself. I simply don't know where to begin or how. Well, tell me this, Naruto. Kun. What do you think you need to work on? Sarutobi had never felt more proud of his surrogate grandson than he did at that very moment. Many things, but Iruka. Sensei advised me to focus primarily on my chakra control, bukajutsu, and taijutsu. My issue is that I'm not sure how to get better at controlling my chakras, and I've never felt comfortable practicing academy taijutsu. Additionally, I don't know anyone who could help me learn. Sarutobi considered his young charge's predicament, smiled, and made a mental note to give the academy instructor a bonus. He then got up and hurried out of the office, returning a moment later with multiple scrolls in his hands, 3 of which were easily as tall as Naruto. The Sandaime began, pointing to the larger scrolls. These scrolls here contain ancient taijutsu and kenjutsu styles dating back hundreds of years. The Rokushikis, the 6 powers, teachings are found in the red scroll. It's a very strong style that demands a high degree of chakra control, but those who get the hang of it are said to be able to make pure chakra blades with just one kick, become as strong as steel, and even perform multiple airborne jumps. This scroll describes the style and techniques of Santoryu, Three-sword style. Though there are other teachings of techniques that use fewer swords, Sarutobi said, widening Naruto's eyes even as he reached over and picked up a large green scroll. According to legend, the person who originated this style was regarded as the best swordsman in all the lands prior to his passing. Lastly, we have this black scroll that explains a special form of taijutsu that utilizes only the practitioner's feet and legs. This martial art, called Kuroashi no Vaza, black leg style, was actually developed for tradespeople like cooks, tailors, and blacksmiths who didn't want to hurt their hands. This style is just as lethal and adaptable as the others, despite its odd name. Sugoi. Indeed, Sarutobi said with a grin. I will let you take one of these scrolls to keep and train in. What? Not even all three for me? I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but that would be showing a great deal of favoritism, and as Hokage, I cannot do that. The Sandaime shook his head. I probably should be doing more for you already. Furthermore, mastering more techniques does not equate to becoming stronger. It's about being the best at what you already know. Confusion gripped Naruto's head as he said, I believe Iruka Sensei said something similar. He's right, too. But then, how about a deal? I'll let you take one scroll now, but only if you can prove to me that you understand the fundamentals by the time your Jonin Sensei returns. Really? Indeed, in a true sense. But rigorous training is required. Gigi, no worries. You have gotten a good deal. Superb. Which scroll do you want right now? And before you make a decision, I want you to give it serious thought. With a deeply contemplative expression on his face that strangely did not cause his mind to race, Naruto asked, which one to choose. Since he was without a sword and could not afford one anytime soon, the Santoryu was out of the question. That left the Rokushiki and the Kuroashi no Vaza. But both sound so cool. How am I supposed to pick just one? Wait, Gigi said he wanted me to think carefully before choosing. That must mean that one of them is definitely better for me right now, right? It made sense because Iruka Sensei had said that he needed to work on his chakra control, so learning the Rokushiki would be more difficult. Gigi, I'll have the Kuroashi no Vaza. Naruto-kun, why did you choose that one? Oh, the Sandaime was testing him? If so, Naruto was not going to let him down. You mentioned that the Rokushiki needs strong chakra control, correct? The Hokage nodded. Iruka Sensei said I needed to work on that, so I wouldn't be able to learn the style anyway until I got better. I am also not proficient with a sword, so the Santoryu style is also out of the question. That implies that Kuroashi no Vaza is the only one I can learn. Naruto knew he had made the right decision the moment the Hokage's proud smile appeared on his lips. And you would be correct, Naruto-kun. The Rokushiki is an extremely hard style to learn, and you would not be able to learn it at all without the necessary skill in chakra control. Sarutobi handed the Kuroashi no Vaza scroll to the recipient and said, maybe later on. Now, before I tell you what's in these smaller scrolls, could you please channel some chakra into this piece of paper? Gigi, what is it? It's a special paper that will tell us what elements you are compatible with. With a nod, Naruto started to channel his chakra into the paper, and he saw it glow blue for a split second before both halves unexpectedly became drenched, much to the surprise of the Hokage. Naruto-kun, it appears you have two very strong elemental affinities, and at such a young age, I am sure you will go far, the Sandaime thought to himself. Water and wind. That is extremely uncommon for a person your age. Now, this scroll will assist you with chakra control, and the other two have C rank jutsu for your individual affinities. I anticipate that you will master them. Gigi, I will. Naruto assured her. Many thanks, Naruto-kun, you're very welcome. Naruto gave his old man a quick hug and turned to leave, but then he remembered the earlier mumblings, and a cunning idea came to him. Nay, Gigi, what's it worth to you if I tell you how to defeat your paperwork? Did he really figure out the secret behind defeating paperwork? Sarutobi asked, his eyes glazed over. On the one hand, he had a genin attempting to buy him off, the Hokage, which was a serious offense in a shinobi village that could land him in jail depending on the situation. Nevertheless, on the other hand, his surrogate grandson was providing him with a means of ultimately vanquishing the evil that is paperwork. Naruto-kun. It was an easy decision. Yes, but since there was not an option. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third god of shinobi and the Sandaime Hokage of Konohagakure, literally fell to his hands and knees and pleaded, "Please tell me the secret." Tears streamed down his old cheeks. "I'll give it all to you. Anything at all. Would you like 2 more elemental ninjutsu scrolls, please? A. Class methods. Additionally, I'll give you the Yondaime's personal sealing notes as well as the entire set of Fuinjutsu instructional manuals. Please, just please. Tell me the trick." Sweat drop appears. "Have you considered using Kage Bunshin?" With a vacant expression on his face, the elderly man handed Naruto 2 more scrolls and a pile of books before approaching his desk and carefully taking out a piece of paper that Jiraiya had given him years earlier, stating that he would use it if he ever figured out how to defeat paperwork. That piece of paper had, "Bang head here," written on it in a big circle. Sarutobi slammed his head against the paper several times, muttering, "Stupid, stupid, 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 stupid." Naruto could only shiver as he silently left the room. Naruto went straight to the ninjutsu scrolls as soon as he got home, but he stopped and scowled. "Iruka. Sensei said that the things I need to work on the most is taijutsu, chakra control, and bukajutsu," he sighed. "I really want to learn the ninjutsu, but it would probably be better if I focus on improving the areas I'm worst at first. I won't be strong if I suck at everything else," Naruto thought, mournfully staring at the smaller scrolls. It's almost like hearing his sensei tell me that becoming a good shinobi requires more than just knowing awesome ninjutsu, he pondered, turning to the taijutsu scroll. It took Naruto 5 minutes to roll the scroll open and begin cursing with equal parts amazement and frustration. "I'm going to need weights," he muttered to himself. But how was he supposed to buy them? He didn't have any more money and, now that he was a genin, he was cut off from the village's orphan funds. Damn it, what am I supposed to do? Apparently, this style required an absolutely obscene level of leg strength and flexibility to be used effectively. Far beyond what Naruto currently possessed. A thought flashed through his mind as he looked at the pile of Fuinjutsu manuals. Perhaps one of these books has a weight seal or something. He quickly made a dozen clones, each of whom he had skimmed the books while he went to retrieve his calligraphy set. "Hey, boss. I located one." Naruto hurried back over and examined the intricate seal, which he understood, if he understood correctly, would add weight very gradually up to a certain limit. In other words, it was just what he needed. Yosh. This is ideal. Take out your brushes, ink, and practice material, everyone. What steps will you take? As it reached for a dumbbell that Naruto occasionally used for at-home training, one of the clones inquired. "I'm going to start working on these stretches and basic exercises and then talk with Hideki-san to see if there's anything I can do to earn a little extra money." "Oh, good idea, boss. But I should be back soon. Just continue to work on the..." "Oh my god. Haha. Boom. Sorry." Naruto's pupil quivered. His floor had a hole in it. The clone had foolishly chosen to attempt activating his poorly drawn seal, and the result was an absurd amount of weight that broke straight through the floor. He just hoped it didn't hit his neighbor below, created by a pair of boxers. OMG. Exactly what is this? Where are these boxers sourced? Why do they weigh so damned much? Help from someone. I'm stuck here. Aid. Go to a practice area and don't stop practicing. I'll sigh. Be back shortly. This day is going to be long. His prey was on the run. It was gliding through the forest with unhumane ease and grace, traveling at speeds that no civilian could match. Not only that, but the target was difficult to follow because it blended in with its surroundings naturally. Nevertheless, despite all of these benefits, it was helpless against a shinobi. A single kunai sliced through the air and precisely pierced the target's skull with a flick of the wrist. A quick and painless death. As he cheerfully jumped down from the treetops toward his kill, Naruto exclaimed, "All right. That makes 3. Oh, looks like I got a big one." He sealed his hand quickly, causing 2 more clones to appear next to him. "You know what to do, guys. Hi." As soon as possible, the 2 clones started working, pulling out knives and skinning the downed deer, while Naruto worked on some physical training. 3 weeks had passed since his life took an entirely different turn. It has been 3 weeks since Sakura was rejected and everything that happened after that. He had been training hard ever since, and he could already feel the difference, particularly in his legs. After being applied to his boots, the weight seals, which required 8 hours to perfect even with a dozen clones working on it, now functioned flawlessly. Even though he still lacked the speed, strength, and flexibility to learn the more complex techniques, he was able to quickly pick up the fundamental stances, kicks, and movements of the Kuroashi no Vaza, black leg style, thanks to this and the few hundred clones that practiced every day. Before he attained that degree of proficiency, it would be a while. Because of the scroll the Hokage had given him, Naruto had not only learned the traditional taijutsu style but also significantly enhanced his chakra control. Granted, when he first saw the title of the tree climbing technique, he believed his surrogate grandfather was pulling a practical joke on him because of all the practical jokes he had pulled. Still, he continued to read and soon realized that the technique was very challenging, especially with his large reserves of chakras. His cumbersome boots did not aid either, and on multiple occasions, he discovered his head colliding with the ground. As a result, the forests of Konoha now had multiple Naruto-shaped holes, which would confuse many tourists and intruders in the years to come. He was hunting deer because Hideki had given him the idea to do so in order to make some money. Rather than relying on Naruto to man the register due to his unfortunate condition and lack of skill with a forge, the shopkeeper had asked the Jinchuriki to search the training grounds and forests for abandoned weapons that he could recycle for scrap metal. Hideki would give the young man 10,000 ryo for each 5 pounds of scrap that Naruto discovered. While looking for scrap metal, the shopkeeper suggested that the Jinchuriki try hunting as well. He sells the skins and meat to the monthly visitors who are traveling merchants. Obviously, this meant that Naruto had to learn how to skin animals, especially after his initial unsuccessful attempts. In light of this, he sent a small group of clones to the library, where they looked up information on skinning as well as a wide range of other topics, including hunting, cooking, for the game animals, and even foraging. And now that he'd read the books, he could make a mean rabbit stew and was reasonably proficient at skinning and hunting rabbits. As Naruto was performing squats, one of the clones startled him out of his reverie with the words, "All done, boss." "How many skins and furs does that make?" Total, we have about 50 rabbit skins, 23 deer, 10 wolves, a bear, and 25 ferrets. Are you heading to the market after this? Yeah, the merchants arrived this morning so they should be done setting up their stalls. Don't forget to save a couple deer skins for Hideki-san. He wanted some to make armor. With the scroll in hand, Naruto said, I was planning on dropping by Hideki-san's shop after the market, but thanks for the reminder, just before the clone vanished. Then the original glanced up at the tops of the trees, where a few clones were practicing their tree climbing. Alright guys. Dismiss yourself in groups of 10 every half minute. OSSU. The clones started to vanish every 30 seconds as directed, allowing Naruto's mind the time it needed to process all of the data without risk. He had discovered the hard way that his brain would become overloaded if he dismissed too many clones at once. His first hangover ever was the result of it, multiplied by 200. It had knocked him out cold in an instant, and for the next few hours he would drown in his own drool while his tenant frantically tried to piece his melted brain back together, cursing stupid vessels all the while. Sure enough, Naruto thought with a shudder, never doing that again. The ensuing headache had been unbearable. Yosh. Time to go to the market. Exclaimed the Jinchuriki, shaking off his meandering thoughts and grinning broadly as he made his way back to the village. The market was bustling when he got there, as he had anticipated. Even from the rooftop where Naruto was positioned, there were shouts of bids, sales, and advertisements, along with lively laughter. He saw a number of stands offering an interesting range of oddball items, some intended for shinobi and some for civilians. Nevertheless, despite his natural curiosity, Naruto had to focus on his mission to locate a buyer for his furs. After a few moments, he finally focused on a tall, rugged-looking man who was selling high-quality leather goods, furs, and hunting gear. Put succinctly, he found the person he was searching for. Naruto hopped down and disappeared into the thick crowd, stopping now and then to look over some of the stands. The majority of the stands appeared to be targeted at civilians, and the ones that offered shinobi goods were crowded with Konoha's armed forces. The Jinchuriki were not attracted to the strange weapons on display at one particular stand, which had a large crowd surrounding it due to the giant, mustached merchant operating it. No, it was a kunoichi about his age that drew his attention. The girl with the buns looked completely enthralled with every weapon the vendor displayed. Drool was streaming down her chin in a veritable waterfall, and her eyes had turned into sparkling hearts. Strange, huh? After observing the kunoichi's strange actions for a little while longer, Naruto dismissed them and went to the leather merchant he had earlier seen. There, he patiently awaited the man's attention to turn to him after he had completed selling a shiny knife to a customer. The man smiled and said, "Hello there, young man. How can I help you?" After closing the deal, "I was wondering if you would be interested in buying some of the furs I have," said Naruto. "If you'd let me see the furs, I might consider it. We'll be open until nightfall, so you're welcome back any time before that." "Oh, I have them with me." Naruto swiftly opened his catch after pulling out his storage scrolls, grinning at the merchant's startled expression. The man's surprise soon subsided, though, as he started closely examining the fur to determine its quality. "These are in pretty good quality. Not as good as some of my regular suppliers, but they're close enough that I could make it work." "Did you skin the animals yourself?" "Yes, I did, sir." "Well, you did good work then. I have an order to fill for one of the feudal lord in the snow country, so I'll take any furs you're willing to sell me. Particularly rabbit furs. How much do you got?" "I have 50 rabbit skins, 21 deer, 10 wolves, a bear, and 25 ferrets." "Oh, quite a catch. How does 300,000 ryo for all of them sound to you?" Naruto noticed his eyes enlarging. 300,000 ryo? He had never in his life had so much money. That sounds great. Thank you so much." The man said, "No, thank you. I can start on the feudal lord's order sooner, while also considering the savings he had just made by not purchasing the materials from his regular suppliers. The name's Taiyo Shizure, by the way. Nice to meet you." The blonde shinobi replied, Naruto Uzumaki, squeezing the merchant's hand and putting the cash in one of his scrolls. "If you happen to have any more furs next time I'm around, feel free to look me up." "I will. Thanks a lot, Shizure. San. Ba, call me Taiyo. Shizure. San is my pops. Till next time, Naruto. San." Naruto left the stand with a big smile on his face and a much fatter wallet, choosing to spend some time browsing. Fortunately, the genin was able to shop in relative peace because the villagers were far too engrossed in the merchandise on display to notice him. It went on for roughly 15 minutes. "Hey! Get back here! Out of the way! Thief! Help! Help!" Glancing up, Naruto saw a shady man battling his way through the throng while carrying a suitcase that was obviously not his. Is that man a moron? The genin sighed, "There are dozens of shinobi here. He'll get himself killed. I really ought to get something done." "There's no better moment than now to try out my new moves," Naruto said, bouncing briefly on the balls of his feet and waiting for the man to approach before extending his leg. Collier, neck. The roundhouse kick, rendered even more potent by the weighted boots, struck the fleeing thief in the throat, abruptly ending his getaway and sending him crashing into the earth. Right away KO. Did you see that? Just one kick. Wait, isn't that? It is. It's him. Kami. Sama, he looks different. How'd he get so strong? Remarkably, for the villagers, at least, Naruto paid no attention to the shinobi and commoners murmuring around him. He used to loudly brag about his abilities and how amazing he was, but a few weeks ago, he seemed unconcerned. That's not totally accurate, though. A pretty girl, probably about 15, came running up as he was swooping down to pick up the stolen suitcase. Admittedly, he was suppressing the urge to flex. He said, "Is this yours?" The girl practically sagged in relief as she nodded and accepted the offered case, her blue eyes wide with shock at seeing her stolen goods recovered so quickly and the knocked-out thief lying crumpled on the ground nearby. "Yes. Thank you so much. How can I ever repay you?" Trying to brush it all off, Naruto said, "Don't worry about it." It was nothing, although on the inside he was dying to brag about how amazing he was. Hey, the old habits never die. Maybe to you, but not to me and my brother. Naruto was taken aback to discover an exquisitely crafted violin when he opened the case. This is for a noble up in Honsho village. If you hadn't recovered it for us, the loss would have been the end for our business, so thank you. Unsure of how to respond, Naruto just gave a sheepish little scratch to the back of his head. I'm glad I was able to help, but really, I don't need you to repay me or anything. Well, would you at least come see my brother? I'm sure he would want to thank you too. The young lady smiled. I'm Keiko, by the way. Naruto. As more shinobi swooped by to apprehend the thief, Keiko greeted the shinobi with a cheerful, "Nice to meet you," and led him to her stand. Oni-san. This is Naruto. He's the one who stopped that thief and recovered the violin. Naruto-san. This is my older brother, Hikaru. The somewhat plump man turned to face the Jinchuriki, and then a big toothy smile, befitting a certain taijutsu master, appeared on his face. So you're the one who stopped that thief. You must be quite strong. I'm alright. There's no harm in a little self-promotion, right? Nevertheless, Naruto had to use all of his strength to resist flexing. You have our sincerest thanks. If there is anything we could do for you. Was this the typical behavior of someone who did them a favor? Naruto couldn't help but be a little uneasy about the entire circumstance. He merely put an end to a small time thief. Really, it was nothing. You don't need to repay me. Hikaru suddenly had a frown on his face. There must be something. It would be a mark against our honor if we didn't repay you. Suddenly, a mischievous smile appeared on his face. How about my beautiful sister's hand in marriage? The blushing girl exclaimed, Oni-san, and angrily smacked her laughing elder brother on the shoulder while glancing at an equally reddish brown Naruto. Kidding. I'm just kidding. Ha. You had better. Hikaru rubbed his chin thoughtfully, his eyes still fixed on the genin. Keiko started whispering into his ear, surely, there is something we. Oh. An excellent idea, Omoto. Naruto-san, you wait right there. The man ran into his tent and came out a few moments later holding a black flute in his hands that had what appeared to be several seals engraved along its sides. This, Naruto-san, is a specially made flute designed for shinobi. With it, you can cast genjutsu and ninjutsu that can be made stronger by playing music. It was made by my old man, may he rest in peace, for a shinobi that died before it could be completed. Naruto gazed in wonder at the musical instrument. He had never seen or heard of a shinobi's instrument before. I want you to have it, Naruto-san. Blue eyes widened. What? I can't take this. It must be worth a fortune. Keiko exclaimed, of course you can. Naruto-san, it has been gathering dust for the past 8 years, Hikaru shot back. Please, take it. Even if you decide not to use it, there is a better chance that you may find someone who can use it to its full potential than we ever could. Naruto found himself in a dilemma. Not that he wasn't interested in the instrument. The genin, to be honest, found it very appealing that ninjutsu and genjutsu would be paired with a flute, especially since he was a complete non-magician. However, he was reluctant to simply take the object, especially since their father had made it. Besides, he had a lot on his plate already. Naturally, Hikaru had to deliver the finisher at that precise moment. Please, Naruto-san. I am sure my old man would want his last masterpiece to be used as it was meant to. That, then, settles it. Alright, I'll take it. The siblings' faces lit up with wide beaming smiles as the genin took the flute, reverently placed it back in its case, and closed it. Naruto tucked the storage scroll into his pouch and glanced at the sun's position, remembering the hour. It's getting late. I have to go, but maybe I'll see you both again next month. Thanks again for the flute. Hikaru said with a bow of his head, no, Naruto-san, thank you. Keiko waved and said, bye, Naruto-kun. The two siblings saw the genin bolt off, jumping onto a nearby roof. Naturally, Hikaru gave his younger sister a sly smile the moment he disappeared from view. Naruto-kun, huh? Are you sure you don't want me to offer him your hand in marriage? I'm sure I could get the Hokage to approve. Kiko's cheeks turned scarlet. Shut up, Oni-san. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. Just like that, 100 clones appeared out of nowhere, ready to follow orders. Naruto commanded, okay guys, I want all of you split up into groups of 10 before I assign you guys a task, and in a matter of seconds, the duplicates accomplished just that. Alright. He gestured to the nearest group of clones and said, "Okay, Group 1. You guys are on chakra control. Half of you will work on the tree climbing technique while the other half head over to the nearby river." The clones took off right away. Group 2. I want you working on the Suijinheki, water release, water formation wall, while Group 3 will be working on the Suiryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon projectile technique. Group 4 and 5, you guys got the futon, Repusho, wind release, Gale Palm, and futon, Daitopa, wind release, great breakthrough, respectively. Head over to the next training ground so that you're not in the way. Group 6, I want you guys hunting and foraging. Group 7, you got Fuinjutsu, and Group 8 will go to the library to read anything you think would be helpful. Next, Naruto turned to face the other two groups. Group 9 and 10 will stay here with me and work on the Kuroashi no Vaza. I want to have 2 techniques down before the end of the day. Move out. The surviving clones let out a collective, "Hi." Before dispersing. He had not touched the ninjutsu scrolls the Sandaime had given him before today. Yes, it had been difficult to resist, but he told himself that he should start by paying attention to the weaknesses that Iruka had highlighted. But now that he had stopped the thief and was receiving compliments on his growing strength from both shinobi and civilians, Naruto felt prepared. Without a doubt, the Kyuubi was the reason he was growing stronger so quickly. After all, the healing factor basically accelerated his growth exponentially by mending his muscles after just one night's sleep. I suppose it's not too horrible being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, he mused. However, it was unfortunate that his clones were unable to engage in physical training. As a result, he was forced to continue honing his taijutsu while his copies were able to practice ninjutsu. Be fortunate, bastards. Was it appropriate to feel envious of his copies, then? That would imply that he was envious, wouldn't it? Naruto muttered, having all these clones around is going to make me crazy, and quickly stretched while reviewing the next Kuroashi no Vaza technique. Jigget, legs, huh? It seemed to be a simple sweeping kick to the kneecaps with an extra twist. The goal was to knock the target skyward so they could launch a counterattack. To make the move less likely to hurt him than the target, he needed to target precisely and bend his leg at the right moment. Alright, guys, we have 3 hours until sundown, so let's do this. With great excitement, his clones all ran off to practice the technique. As Naruto turned to face them, he abruptly lost consciousness. Tumbling. He was collapsing. Falling so fast that all around him appeared to be blurry images, and oddly enough, every single one of those images seemed familiar. Like he'd seen them somewhere before. He was lying in ankle deep water all of a sudden, and amazingly, there had been no impact. In an instant, he went from being in a falling position to lying flat on his back. Then he experienced it. It was hard to overlook power. Power that is unadulterated, lethal, and completely overwhelming, capable of terrifying even the most resilient shinobi. But it felt like it was repressed? Shaking off the feeling, Naruto stood up slowly and looked around him. He found himself in a sewer, and not a very well lit one either. The wall was lined with pipes, some red, some blue, and, oddly enough, some gold and white. Naruto had no idea what they stood for, but it wasn't time to consider that at the moment. Finding his location and a way out was of greater importance. Naruto muttered nervously, only one way to go really, as the path to his right was blocked off. He took a deep breath to bolster his resolve and strode forward. How far he walked was unknown to him. The only thing Naruto knew was that he wasn't getting any closer to an exit, regardless of how long it had been. The sewer was a convoluted network of passageways replete with barred doors and dead ends, and to be honest, the genin was clueless about his intended destination. The feeling of power he was getting stronger and stronger was the only indication that he was moving forward at all. Naruto already knew that before he left, he would have to face the source of that power, wherever he was going. I hope I'm wrong. A few seconds later. Damn it, sometimes, I hate it when I'm right. As predicted, Naruto stumbled into a vast, open space that was completely saturated with the power he had been feeling all along. And there was a gate right in front of him? Yes, it was undoubtedly a gate, or maybe a cage. What an enormous cage. It spanned several hundred meters above him, and oddly enough, The only thing that appeared to be holding it closed was a thin paper tag bearing the kanji character for seal. But no matter how hard Naruto tried to see, he was unable to see anything past the bars because everything was completely dark. With a sense of unease growing in his stomach, Naruto pondered, I wonder what's in there. It was not his place to ask. A massive, completely terrifying visage revealed itself the moment the words left his lips. Suddenly, a smile emerged from the shadows, each tooth larger than a regular man's. The room echoed with a deep, rumbling growl as he looked down at him with almost hungry eyes that were blood red with a black slit for pupils. Naruto was immobile. His breathing was labored. And his legs seemed to have given up on him, no matter how hard he tried to crawl back. All he could do was look in stunned silence at the thing in front of him. Hello. Iae. Thump. Deadpan. Complete with twitching legs and foaming at the mouth. The creature literally fell on its back laughing. Heh, 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 ha 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 ha. Oh Kami, I can't breathe. Ha ha ha. Oh, that was brilliant, the creature exclaimed. How long had it been since it saw something so funny? Glancing down at the unconscious blonde, the entity released a burst of chakra. I can't wait to do that again. Woo. Wakey, wakey, Naruto. What? Naruto blurted out as he realized he was submerged in water up to his ankles once more. He sat up slowly. What happened? Where am I? He froze again, looking up. Buh. The enormous creature laughed and said, What's the matter, Naruto? Fox got your tongue? To answer your first question, you fainted like a sissy when I said hello and it was priceless. The genin glared up at the still laughing demon, and a tick mark appeared on his brow instantly. As for your second question, we are in your mind. My mind? Then who the hell are you? Wait, you aren't. Yes. Naruto exclaimed, leaping back at the loud, unexpected boom. I am she who rules the realm of Makai. The leader and the most powerful the Biju. With each step, I make the earth tremble. With each swing of my tails, I summon forth tsunamis. I am power itself. Bow before me, for I am the great, the powerful, the almighty and super sexy Kyuubi no Yoko. Naruto felt his eyes widen with each yelled word, as he finally mustered the strength to scramble back. His brain abruptly stopped working just seconds before he was about to faint. No, sorry. Pass out. Because manly men don't faint, they pass out. Wait, she? The Kyuubi sagged. The demon snarled, clearly annoyed at the lackluster response. Seriously? That's what you focus on in my entire speech? I spent hours practicing that to make sure I conveyed the sheer awesomeness that I possess. And yes, she. Got a problem with that? Abruptly, the intention to kill tripled, no, quadrupled. Though Naruto knew the Kyuubi could not harm him in any way, he was quick to shake his head and mumble an extremely unmanly N. No. Of course not. Good, anyways, no doubt you were wondering why you're here. Naruto gave a wink. That is a tad more complicated, but in short, I brought you here. Now that you are aware of my existence and have accepted it, we can finally speak face to face and try to make the best of our unfortunate situation. Naruto asked, understandably suspicious, what do you mean? After all, his miserable upbringing and ongoing struggles in life were caused by the entity who stood before him. It is quite simple really. As my vessel, you will inevitably end up in situations where you'll be forced, either consciously or not, to call upon my power or advice. As such, to make things easier for the both of us, what I propose is a mental and sensory connection, which will allow us to speak directly with one another and let me experience the real world through you. In exchange, I will offer whatever advice I can and grant you my power. Naruto could see it looked like a good deal at first glance. Though he would be the one providing the Kyuubi with a taste of the outside world, they would still be kept behind the seal. However, he was battling a demon. And the Kyuubi no Yoko, not just any demon would do. She was also a kitsune, a supernatural being known for being cunning and sly. In other words, there was only one question. What's the catch? The Kyuubi's lips formed a contented smile. Following the Biju's remarks, a sudden and fleeting heavy presence filled the room, startling Naruto as he looked around in alarm. Good, you're learning. A month ago, you would have agreed instantaneously. And there is no catch. I give you my word upon my name, title, and power that what I am offering has no loopholes or tricks of any kind that would be detrimental to you. A demon's word is binding. What you felt just now is the world itself cementing my promise to you. Even if I wanted to, I can no longer change my offer in a way that would negatively affect you. Then the creature's voice became remarkably quiet. I will admit that I am also doing this partly out of guilt. Although we could not interact, I am well aware of how my existence has caused you much grief, despite its shortness. It is my hope that this deal will result in making us both happier and pay a small measure of my sins. To be honest, Naruto was at a loss for words. With the exception of the Hokage, Iruka, and the Ichiraku family, this demon stood in front of him and was indirectly to blame for all the sorrow and suffering he had gone through in his life. Despite this, it was displaying more empathy and concern for him than almost anyone else in the village. The Jinchuriki moaned and then shot a weak smile at the Biju. I accept your deal, Kyubi-san, and I forgive you as well. You have suffered just as much as I have and have more than paid for your sins. With a sincere smile on its face, the demon said, Thank you, Naruto. You have no idea what that means to me, before straightening up and huffing. With a sudden disappearance into the darkness of the cage, the Kyubi said, Being crouched down to see you is beginning to cause a crick in my neck. Give me a sec while I slip into something a bit more comfortable. Naruto stood before the bars, clearly confused. Something cozier, perhaps? What does that mean, exactly? The genin questioned. Luckily, he didn't have to wait long because the Kyubi quickly reappeared from the shadows of the cage and approached the bars, putting only a few feet separating them. And all he could say was one word about what he saw. Humana, 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 Humana. She was stunning. The height of elegance. Really, at this very moment, all standards of beauty that the world may have held were shattered. Her blood red eyes seemed to pierce his very soul, and her delicate feminine features displayed a degree of aristocracy and elegance that no noble could ever hope to possess. Her crimson hair cascaded down the small of her back in silken waves, resembling a waterfall. Her skin was sun-kissed and flawless. As if her inherent beauty weren't enough, she accessorized with an ornate, red and white, sleeved kimono that was altered to highlight her ample assets and reveal a lot of tanned skin. All in all, he found it difficult to accept that the stunning woman in front of him was, in fact, Kyubi no Yoko. With a less boomy voice, the Kyubi asked seductively, like what you see, na. Ru. Tu. Kun? It was now much more delicate and feminine, but it retained its unmistakable sense of raw power. The beauty leaned over in a provocative way, instantly giving the teen's face a new shade of red. He was trying desperately to stop the nosebleed that was about to burst, but his voice would not come out. Naruto, hurry up. Apply your shinobi mental skills and hold back. Refuse. Rezi. She licked her lips slowly. Whack. Naruto was thrown into the ground at Mach 2 and his final words before he blacked out were, I'm screwed. A geyser of blood erupted. Come on, Kit. Awaken. Naruto blearily opened his eyes, trying to remember what had happened before his sapphire orbs landed on the still transformed demon in front of him, who had a rather satisfied look on her face. A voice called, bringing Naruto back to semi-reality. He reddened. Naruto's brow instantly began to wrinkle as she teased, so innocent, adding, contrary to what that transformation technique implies, you really are an innocent soul when it comes to women. Jinchuriki ducked his head and whispered, Kyubi-san, was that really necessary? She laughed and said, anyways, come here. When you've been locked up and alone for 12 years with nothing to do, you learn to take what entertainment you can get, even if it means making it yourself. There is still much for us to discuss. Like what, exactly? I should explain to you why I attacked your village first. Since you learned about me, you've probably been curious about that. Naruto gave a nod. To be honest, a lot of it is a blur. However, I do recall that prior to my attack, I had gone hunting and upon returning, I discovered that my mate had suffered severe injuries. Naruto's eyes grew wide when she learned that the Kyubi had a mate, one that she loved deeply, based on the trace of righteous anger and heartbroken longing in her voice. He was so badly hurt that I was forced to send him back to Makai to recover. I went to look for the people who could have caused his injuries because I knew he would get the best care there. I don't really remember how I arrived at this conclusion, but I somehow found out that Konoha was the reason behind my friend's injuries, and everything else kind of faded away. I just remember being angry, furious, and hateful, and that I had to hold them accountable. Naruto recoiled in fear as he felt the entire room start to tremble and a menacing red glow started to appear in the demon's eyes. Those who ventured to cause harm to my dear ones will burn in hellfire. They'll suffer to death. I will exact my revenge on anyone who opposes me. The room trembled before the Kyuubi's might as volatile chakra swirled around her. Konoha will burn. Perish. Desolation, termination, even all will fall away. The anger suddenly disappeared as Kyuubi stumbled back, clutching her head in agony. No. I'm not like this. I have to withstand it. Ooh. Something's controlling her, Naruto exclaimed as his eyes grew wide. He hurried to assist, but was abruptly pushed back by a chakra wave. Nah. Stay back, Naruto. She growled, glaring up at her vessel despite the pain. I'm not sure how much longer I can hold in this anger. However, you remain incarcerated. If I don't stop this, it's the only thing that will shield you from me. I'm not trying to harm you, Arg. The Kyuubi abruptly dropped to her knees, shedding tears as she cried out in agony. Oh, to hell with it, was Naruto's first thought as he hurried past the bars and grabbed the demon's face. Come on, Kyuubi. San. Defy it. Keep it from winning. Here I am, right beside you. There must be something I can do to help her. She doesn't deserve this. Please. If there's a kami up there, help me. All I want to do is help her, Naruto swore when the Biju did not stop screaming. There was silence for a moment. Everything became motionless, including the Kyuubi, who was screaming and arching its back in agony. A voice was heard by him. It was inexplicably sweet, delicate, and calming. Only the purest of desires can shine through the dark shadows in this hour of darkness, when all light seems to have faded. You, one whose line has been blessed, have chosen to aid a being in suffering. Furthermore, you are indirectly to blame for this suffering soul's suffering. Why? It's obvious to me now that Kyuubi San was being manipulated or controlled to attack Konoha, said Naruto, feeling compelled to answer as honestly and truthfully as possible despite his complete bewilderment over who this voice was and how it was even speaking to him. Even if that weren't the case, nobody ought to endure this kind of suffering. She is not deserving of this. All I want to do is support her. Please lend a hand to her. For a brief moment, Naruto thought the voice had vanished, but then it spoke again, sounding noticeably happy as it said, "Excellent. You have demonstrated your worthiness and your pure intentions. You haven't made any requests for gifts or considered getting paid. As a result, I give you this gift in accordance with your birthright. Make good use of it, Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze." What? Blinked Naruto. Then he experienced it. Wisps of golden chakra swirled around him before flowing into the nearly unconscious demoness, making her body glow. Naruto had to close his eyes to avoid going blind from the power radiating off him before it suddenly burst outward in a dazzling golden display. And with that, the Kyuubi slumped into his arms, completely exhausted. A sudden rush of soothing warmth began to course through his body. He could feel the energy empowering him, making him stronger, faster, and even purer somehow. Moments passed while Naruto attempted to comprehend the events that had occurred, and then he sensed the demoness waking. Naruto? His lips curved into a relieved smile. Kyuubi. San. You're conscious. What the heck? What took place? Why am I lying on your lap, too? He quickly helped the Biju sit up, blushing and saying, "Sorry." It's okay. What took place now? How do you tell a girl who could crush you with her eyelash that she went fucking crazy and wanted to destroy everything? Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. Hold on, what? Really? What? You mentioned that I lost my mind and began discussing the destruction of everything. How did you, wait, are you able to read my thoughts here? Yes, for the time being, but that is unimportant. What took place? Telling you why I attacked Konoha was the last thing I remember doing. With a frown, Naruto started to explain what had happened, mentally thanking Kami that it wouldn't be another angry outburst, and mentioning the rush of power that followed and the enigmatic voice that had spoken to him in the hopes that the Kyuubi would have some knowledge of it. I believe you are correct in saying that I am controlled. She saw Naruto's wary expression and smiled, "Don't worry. Even now, just thinking about my mate and mentioning the attack on Konoha is making me feel angry. This time, I've got it under control. I apologize. Could you tell me who that voice was and what happened next?" "Yeah, I recognize the voice, but I shouldn't identify it. Regarding the power you experienced, I believe it was the initial step toward realizing your bloodline limit." He looked stunned, saying, "I have a bloodline limit?" "Yes, Kit, you have a bloodline limit, and it's one of the more powerful ones too," the Biju said with a lovely laugh. "The device is known as Tentai, Heavenly Body, and bestows upon its user a number of talents, the most powerful of which you have just encountered. The capacity to employ Seiten, Holy Release, techniques." Seiten? I've never heard of it. They are special techniques that can only be used by individuals of the Uzumaki clan that have awakened their bloodline. Why? I mean, why can only the Uzumaki clan use it if it's just another kind of ninjutsu? Kami gave your clan the special bloodline limit known as Tentai, Heavenly Body. Upon awakening, the wielder is able to access the celestial chakra, a unique type of energy. No matter how hard you tried, you couldn't use the techniques without that energy. Oh. In addition to accessing your celestial chakra, you will also eventually grow wings. Assembly? I can actually fly? Naruto's eyes had already grown larger than dinner plates, much to the amusement of the Kyuubi. You will once you fully awaken your bloodline limit. Oh my, I'm so excited. I'll be able to take off. Really take off. How fantastic is that? Yes, Kit, it's awesome, the demon said, giving the boy his space. However, we can discuss that later. We really need to finish this up quickly because I can feel your clones starting to lose their stability. If all of the memories leave at once, I don't want them to shred your mind to pieces. Naruto turned pale. He wished for nothing to happen to him again. All right. What other topics would you like to discuss? A few things, but let me quickly go over them. First off, I must say that your change of heart is truly impressive. You've gone from being a complete moron with no realistic chance of success to the start of becoming a shinobi legend. Even in Makai, the taijutsu styles that you are studying and the others that your Hokage mentioned are well known. But being strong is about more than just having strength and technique. I will teach you for a few hours every night on various subjects, but primarily about chakras to make sure you are ready for the real world. What are you trying to say? Would you please just teach me some really powerful ninjutsu moves? The Kyuubi gave a headshake. Every method I am aware of is extremely potent and demonic. You would sooner kill yourself and wipe out the entire nation as you are right now merely by attempting to use one of the techniques. The idea made the Jinchuriki pale. You will eventually be able to use them, but not for a couple years at least. Okay, so how does learning about chakra help me then? You would be shocked. You will be able to genuinely design your own techniques if you comprehend chakra and all the sophisticated theories that surround it. Developing his own methods and not just some dumbed-down version of the transformation method. He would be creating authentic ninjutsu techniques, which would be incredible. Not just awesome, but really, really awesome. Was he salivating? He made facial contact. Yes, he was salivating. This was what he desired. He was very desirous of it. There was only one thing a man could do in circumstances like these. Teach me, Kyuubi. Sensei. The Kyuubi chuckled. Kit, of course I will. Later tonight, we'll have your first lesson. Anyway, I have a favor to ask of you before you depart. The shinobi became suspicious at once. Although the Kyuubi had shown herself to be amiable and helpful so far, it was important to exercise caution because, well, she was still a demon. Luckily, the change didn't bother her in the slightest. Naruto, don't worry, nothing dangerous is happening. All I ask is that you transform your mental landscape into something more livable. The question mark that materialized over his head was almost visible. Unless you decide to free me, Naruto, I'll be trapped behind this seal for the remainder of your life. And I'm not sure that would work even in that case. Utilizing the power of the Shinigami itself, your Yondaime Hokage created an incredible seal. That means I'll be stuck here until the day you pass away. I therefore hope that you would be open to altering your mindscape to something other than a sewer. Oh. Well, how could Naruto say no when she put it that way? He once resided in a sewer. It was awful. Okay, how'd I change it? It's in your head. The way it looks is up to you. If I were to suggest a modification, what would it be? The cage and sewer structures melted away and changed before she could say anything else. The way it changed was almost unsettling. The floors and walls of concrete gave way to undulating green hills with a huge forest in the distance. Her keen senses detected the sound of a river meandering subtly through the hills, and she detected the scent of moisture emanating from a nearby cascade. A large mansion-sized house appeared to grow out of the ground not far from where they stood, and the Kyuubi could still hear the boy's thoughts, so she knew it was equipped with all the essentials, including a bath, which was something she desperately needed. Overall, the Kyuubi was taken aback by the change. She wanted nothing but this. A lovely open meadow big enough for her full-sized demon form, a house she could call her own, and most importantly, no cage enclosing her. The sense of being repressed remained, so she knew she was still trapped, but at least there was no longer a physical reminder of all her past transgressions. Put succinctly, it was ideal. Woo. Naruto mumbled, that was harder than I thought. He looked over at the still stunned, silent demon. Kyuubi-san, I hope you like it. Say so if you would like me to add or alter anything. Suddenly, his face was shoved into the massive, yet incredibly soft, bust of the demon queen, who had hugged the stuffing out of her vessel after losing all control of her joy. Ah, that Naruto-kun. Many thanks for that. This is ideal. What specific type of man was Naruto? Kyuubi was unable to comprehend it. He would go to this extent for her, even though she was largely to blame for all the negative things that had ever happened to him. He had battled against whatever had previously held control over her and had shown kindness to a monster. With a second chance, Naruto had given her something she probably never would have done in his position. Naruto-kun, I promise to make sure you become a legend as long as I am with you, no matter what. She thought, you deserve it, and held the boy closer as he started to struggle for breath. Whoa. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, she sobbed and released him. Take off. He exclaimed, oh, sweet, sweet air, his face still red from his encounter with the blissful paradise that was a goddess's breasts. Sorry about that, Naruto-kun. It's okay, hell, he would gladly repeat the action if it meant cradling his face against that chest. Before he got any redder, it would be best to change the topic. I take it you like it? I adore it. I'm grateful. It surpasses my desire. She gave a blink. Oh no. Your clones appear to be beginning to fade. Just now, one of them burst. Naruto-kun, we'll talk more later. I swear. Remarkably reluctantly, Naruto nodded. Until then, tonight. Kyuubi-san, Yane. Meigetsu. Huh? The demon grinned timidly. My name is Meigetsu. His lips parted into a broad smile as his eyes grew larger. Meigetsu-san, that is, until tonight. Nodding, the now-called Biju watched as her vessel vanished from his mental landscape. She was unsure of what had motivated her to disclose her true identity. Her true name was only known by a small number of beings, and most of them had to battle her to find out. And yet, after just one day, she had revealed it to her vessel. What was meant by that? Naruto-kun. With just 2 days left until the anticipated return date of the Jonin instructors, Naruto was eager to showcase his advancements. After just 2 months, Naruto was already confident that his general strength and speed had at least doubled and that, after learning the foundational moves of the Kuroashi no Vaza, black leg style, he could match the majority of his classmates in the higher echelons. Sasuke Uchiha, who Naruto reluctantly acknowledged had been stronger than him during their time in the academy, may even be a match for him at this point. Now, let's see about that. Naruto was now able to execute every low-level ninjutsu that the Hokage had taught him, even ones that didn't require seals. Well, it had taken 3 whole weeks of technical voodoo talk from Meigetsu, the Kyuubi, about chakra, and another practice session in a week and a half, but at least it was something, right? This way, Sasuke wouldn't have to worry about the bastard stealing his techniques once he awakened his Sharingan. In all honesty, he liked anything that annoyed the moody, gloomy guy. He was eager to demonstrate his 1A rank ninjutsu skill, even though it wasn't very good, stupid water technique, for example, but he knew he would get it eventually. He was training for 10 to 12 hours a day, after all. Not that he was not paying attention to his shinobi training at all. He had once been told by the Hokage that training had equal importance to resting and engaging in hobbies. Naruto therefore made it a point to do just that for a short while each day. It wasn't always successful, of course. He attempted to learn how to play the flute, but let's just say that the sound of a dying cat scratching a chalkboard seemed more appealing. Even though his apartment walls were still peeling paint, he discovered that he actually enjoyed hunting and cooking whatever he caught. In fact, at the Ichiraku's insistence, he had started to experiment more with his cooking. He could now cook a mean oyakodon, Japanese chicken and egg rice bowl. It's really good, in addition to a mean rabbit stew. And that's not all, but we'll address that in a moment. Naruto also found that he actually enjoyed coming up with new technique ideas. Indeed, he was already advancing toward the development of his first novel method. The Kyuubi had provided a detailed explanation of how various hand seal combinations affected and manipulated chakra, and it was because of this knowledge that he was able to come up with so many novel concepts. Naruto was eager to put them to the test. Could I perhaps get Gigi to assist me? As he made his way to the Hokage Tower, Naruto thought, nah. He probably won't have the time. However, I wonder why he called for me. The Jinchuriki shrugged, knowing that he would soon discover the reason, and nodded to the secretary before heading into his substitute grandfather's office. Yo. Gigi. Sarutobi called out, "Ah, Naruto. Kun. Come in, come in." With joy. 3 clones to his left toiled feverishly at the 3-foot tall pile of paperwork. Poor clones, who always ask, "How are you doing, my boy?" Great. I've gotten a lot stronger since the academy. Oh, have you now? Have you learned all the ninjutsu techniques I gave you? Yup. At least all the low-leveled ones. I can even do some of those without hand seals. Really? Asked Sarutobi. What about the A-ranked techniques? The boy complained, totally oblivious to the stunned expression on the Hokage's face. I've been working on the Sweden technique for the past week, and I can only get it to work 4 times out of 10. The other 6 times just ends with me getting drenched. He can already achieve 40% success rate with Sweden ninjutsu. Within a week only? And he's attempting to render the other methods sealless. Naruto. Kun, how much potential do you have? Sarutobi was aware that, until they were at least Chunin, the majority of shinobi would only try to learn the most fundamental of ninjutsu techniques without seals. With a proud smile on his lips, he thought, to think, Naruto would already come this far in just a couple months, with just a little encouragement and a whole lot of motivation. That is very impressive, Naruto. Kun, but remember, even after you've figured out how to do all your techniques without hand seals, you should continue training in them. Mastery is a very important part of being a shinobi. I will, Gigi. Iruka. Sensei told me the same thing at graduation. Good. Now why don't you and I head outside to a training ground so I can see just how much you've grown? Are we going to spar, Gigi? As the two made their way to the closest training ground, the Hokage laughed. No, Naruto. Kun. It would not be proper for the Hokage to spar with his soldiers. It would also give enemy agents a far too easy opportunity to assassinate me. Naruto sighed. Instead, one of my Anbu operatives will be sparring with you. You may recognize her, actually. Neko. San? The Jinchuriki's eyes widened as the Anbu operative, disguised as a cat, emerged from the shadows and knelt down. At your command, Hokage. Sama. You may remove your mask for the time being, Yugo. Hi. As the Kunoichi took off her mask, a stunning woman with purple hair burst forth, grinning at the small boy in front of her. Hello, Naruto. Kun, Neko. San. As soon as the woman opened her arms, Naruto threw himself into her embrace and burst out laughing while she spun him around. When Yugo Uzuki was younger, he served as one of the Jinchuriki's bodyguards. But unlike most of his guards, who had remained at a distance, Yugo had taken a different approach, and he began a friendship with the boy with the Sandame's approval. Even after she was transferred, the two remained incredibly close, almost like siblings. Fortunately, the two continued to occasionally cross paths. The older Kunoichi remarked, I heard you've been training hard since I last saw you. I want to see just how much stronger you've become, so no holding back in this spar, okay? Hi. You'll see how much stronger I've gotten. Just you wait. Good. We can catch up afterwards over a bowl of ramen, sound good? Her response was a blinding, beaming smile. Alright, let's get this started. The two raced to the closest training ground with their Hokage in tow and soon found themselves facing each other, one grinning excitedly while the other just stood there ready. This is to be a no holds spar. The only rules are no maiming or killing. Ninjutsu and genjutsu techniques are allowed. Winner will be whoever can force the other to yield or knock them unconscious. Combatants ready? The Hokage responded with two nods. Very well then, Hajime. Yugo was at his side, kicking him in the instant. Holy she! Naruto exclaimed, scurrying to curl up into a roll. He was up and throwing a brace of shuriken at the kunoichi's exposed side in less than a second. Even though he knew it wouldn't help, it would at least provide him with a little break to regroup and fight properly. The Anbu agent remarked, excellent reaction time, Naruto. Kun, as she quickly caught the weapons and raised her arm to deflect the boy's subsequent roundhouse kick. Wham! How powerful! Her eyes widened as she felt her arm genuinely give in a little. Such power easily outclasses some chunin. She knocked Naruto back with a swift swing of her arm and swiftly passed through a series of hand seals. Kaiten. Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. Sweden. Suijinheki, Water Release, Water Formation Wall. Water, despite its usual elemental advantage, matched the fire's more powerful flames in its dousing effects as they clashed. Silence fell as a dense cloud of steam suddenly enveloped the entire battlefield, obscuring both combatants' views of one another. Yugo muttered, keeping low to the ground as she looked, where is he? She would normally hide behind the cover, but this was a test. Not even against a genin. She was also a captain in the ANBU. All of this would be for naught if she concealed herself or made active use of her sensory abilities. Jigget, legs. The sudden sweeping kick was unexpected, and Yugo's long tenure was the only reason she managed to evade the surprise attack. Sadly for her, Naruto wasn't done yet, as he immediately pushed himself into a handstand and swung his legs around, using the momentum from the sweep. Dupor, twister. The kunoichi was knocked back several feet when steel tipped boots slammed into her face. Suddenly, she was met by two more pairs of boots. The clones yelled, Apal, shoulder, and knocked her forward at the same moment the original shot through the steam, his leg flying out in a sidekick. Muton shot, Mudden shot. With enough force to shatter stone, the formidable finisher struck Yugo's chest, sending the battered Anbu operative hurtling into a nearby tree, where she collapsed into a heap and vanished in a cloud of smoke. One clone exclaimed, damn, as she saw the broken remnants of a log. Replacement. Trying to see through the smoke, the other exclaimed, where is she? A voice from behind them called out, right here, Naruto. Kun, just before the two clones felt their heads collide, instantly dispelling them. Yugo grinned and met the original's eyes as they stood in front of her. It was a good attempt, but you'll need to try harder than that. Always be aware of your surroundings. Having said that, the Anbu captain lunged forward and punched him in the face. With a curse, Naruto leapt back and executed a roundhouse kick, managing to knock the fist away and then using the momentum gained to execute a spinning hook kick. Unfortunately, Yugo was able to easily dodge under the kick and retaliate with a flurry of punches to his stomach because the kunoichi were no better at dodging. He coughed and staggered back, landing on one knee. Gah! Without pausing to give her opponent a chance to recover, Yugo yelled, you need to work on your pain tolerance, Naruto. The teenager let out another agonized cry as she suddenly materialized by his side and gave him a forceful kick to the back. Being unable to take a few punches can make the difference between life and death. Wham! Once more, the attack was unexpected. And the kunoichi was completely helpless to defend herself this time because it was so unexpected. A shadow clone materialized from behind, launching a spinning axe. Kick onto her shoulder that almost dislocated it. It snarled, Apal, shoulder. Before he fell onto one hand and began to swing his legs out, one after the other. The clone actually leapt into the air after the two kicks' momentum caused it to do so. It then turned and delivered a potent stabbing kick to the helpless Anbu captain, saying, Codlet, rib. cell, lower back. Poitrine, breast. Yugo was struck by a forceful blow to the body that caused a mark in the earth. She was almost crying out as pain shot through her body, but she wasn't an Anbu captain for nothing. The Kunoichi recovered enough in less than a second to rise and counter, sending the clone reeling with a well-placed blow. When she finally turned back to face her opponent, who had cleverly taken advantage of the opening his clone had created to get back up and put some distance between them, a faint pulse of chakra assured her that there were no other clones nearby. "You made a third clone in the steam, didn't you? Just in case something like this happened or if you saw an opportunity." Naruto gave a nod. "You're an Anbu captain, Yugo. San, even with you holding back, I know there's no way I can win in a straight fight. But with tricks and planning, I might have a small chance." The female chuckled. "Excellent. Truly excellent, Naruto. Kun. With this, you've proven that you are well above the strength and mindset of Konoha's typical genin. Now let's see just how far above them you really are." It appeared as though a switch had been turned. Abruptly, Yugo's strength and speed multiplied twofold as her fist struck his face, almost crushing it as he was thrown backward. As the Kunoichi materialized above him and pummeled his defenseless body with punches and kicks, Naruto was rendered helpless and stunned. Still, he was not going to give up. Somehow, through her onslaught, Naruto managed to escape and produce a number of clones, growling, "It's not over yet. Get her." Asu. With their kunai at their disposal, the clones charged, giving the Anbu captain their best effort. However, in spite of their best efforts, the Kunoichi danced around them, effortlessly avoiding each kick and swing. And the 20 clones Naruto had called forth were destroyed in less than 30 seconds. However, it was all the time he required. Naruto exclaimed, "Come on. Please work," as he completed the final hand seal in the lengthy sequence. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. The neighboring lake erupted. A massive dragon with an enormous roar emerged from the swirling, skyrocketing thousands of gallons of water. With all the force of a locomotive, it charged forward, its menacing yellow eyes locked onto its target, a stunned and slightly scared Kunoichi. "Shit!" Yugo yelled, slamming her hands to the ground and blending through the hand seals. Doden. Doryuheki, Earth Release, Earth. Style Wall. Just in time to withstand the force of the approaching water dragon, a massive wall of earth emerged from the earth. The Anbu captain was shocked to see that the sheer force of the Sushin ninjutsu was actually causing the wall to fracture. "Wonderful. Naruto. Kun, how strong are you exactly?" As she examined a set of seals, she thought to herself. Doden. Mogaragakure no Jutsu, Earth Release, Hiding like a Mole Technique. The moment the water dragon eventually managed to breach her barriers, the Kunoichi sank into the earth and vanished. "Ha, ha, damn, where is she?" Naruto exclaimed, realizing his opponent was gone. "No, she must have hidden behind the wall in my method. I couldn't have gotten her with that. But where, OMG?" All of a sudden, he found himself pulled under. He was buried up to his neck with no way out. And standing before him was Yugo, who immediately placed a kunai at his throat. "Yield," she said. "Yugo. San, I really was no match for you," Naruto said with a smile after the Anbu captain had freed him from his makeshift prison. He nodded slowly, being careful not to cut himself on the blade. "You're really powerful. Never undervalue yourself, Naruto. Kun. You performed incredibly well. Even with my holding back, most genin wouldn't have survived past the first 30 seconds, the Kunoichi grinned. However, you succeeded in hitting me." "She's right, Naruto. Kun." The two turned to see the Hokage approaching them with a beaming smile of extreme pride. "I wouldn't have expected a recent graduate or even an experienced genin to show such skill and planning. I can tell how hard you must have trained over the last 2 months just from this one match. You really have what it takes to be a great shinobi, Naruto. Kun. Well, it's not like I did all this by myself," the genin sheepishly scratched his head. "I did receive some assistance. Naruto. Kun, all I did was give you the scrolls. You completed all of the work. Oh, Gigi, I really do appreciate it, but I didn't mean to say that. I was discussing Meigetsu. San. Meigetsu?" The two elder shinobi blinked. That name is unfamiliar to me. Nor am I, Yugo interjected. Ah, I see. Apologies. They had both planned for this so that at least one person knew that they had made contact. You guys know her as the Kyuubi, he said nonchalantly, even though, in his mind, he was laughing up a storm with said demon. EHHHHHHH? You have communicated with the Kyuubi? Yugo cried out. When? Sarutobi demanded, grabbing the boy by the shoulders. How? Gigi, don't worry. Though it didn't really help, Naruto appeased her by saying, she's actually really nice. Meigetsu. San told me why she attacked the village. She reportedly went looking for the attackers after finding her partner hurt. After coming to the conclusion that Konoha was to blame, she was presumably placed under a genjutsu or something because she was unable to recall anything else. She was unable to tell me anything more at that point because she had become extremely enraged and nearly uncontrollable. Just anger and hatred. How are you sure you can rely on her? She promised to tell me. The word of a demon is enforceable. Okay, but be careful, Naruto. Kun. Most shinobi were aware of that particular fact, the Hokage nodded, relaxing. You should exercise caution because the Kyuubi is a demon lord, not because I don't want to believe you. Although he didn't entirely agree with it, Naruto nodded, something Meigetsu appreciated. Whatever, may I ask what you meant by uncontrollable? How come you believed it to be genjutsu? Well, she was really kind at first, and then all of a sudden, she lost her mind. She begins yelling about wanting to destroy everything. Naruto exclaimed, his hands thrashing wildly in emphasis. He could still remember the complete terror he felt at the time. She was resisting it, though, claiming that it wasn't her and that she wasn't sure what would have happened if my bloodline limit hadn't activated. Deadline point? There is no bloodline limit in the Uzumaki clan, am I correct? Yugo asked, glancing at the Hokage with her final question before pausing when she noticed the old shinobi's wide eyes. You turned on Tentai, heavenly body. He murmured. Naruto gave a nod. Show it to us, Naruto. Kun. Make use of a celestial chakra. With a look of intense concentration, Naruto's hand started to glow a golden light, enveloping the surrounding area in a comforting warmth that forced the two older shinobi to smile. I'm still having some trouble controlling it, but... You truly have awakened it, Sarutobi exhaled. Saiten, holy release. Amazing. Anyo, Madam Sandame? Yugo intervened, asking, what is this exactly? In the Uzumaki clan, I've never heard of a bloodline limit. That's because very few people have ever used it. The likelihood of an Uzumaki awakening the Tentai, heavenly body, is approximately 1 in 100, in contrast to most clans with bloodline limitations. Naruto and Yugo listened intently as eyes widened. Those who have awakened the Tentai, heavenly body, gain access to a higher form of chakra known as celestial chakra, allowing them to use extremely powerful techniques known as Saiten, holy release. It is said that the power is a gift from Kami, who saw that our world needed an edge in fighting the demons that once plagued this land. Gigi, how are you so knowledgeable about my bloodline limit, nay? Narutobi. Kun, there's a reason I'm referred to as the professor, Sarutobi grinned. Additionally, I was somewhat familiar with the Uzumaki clan prior to their tragic extinction. How about my folks? Naruto inquired with hope. The Hokage nodded, his smile turning sorrowful. Yeah, I did know them too. I apologize, Naruto. Kun, but I am unable to tell you about them at this time. What? Why not? Your parents had a lot of enemies because of the war and their own strength. If people found out about your heritage, I'm sure some of them would come after you just to get even or to keep you from realizing your full potential. Considering that you were the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, anyone would find it too alluring to pursue you. No, Naruto. Kun. As painful as it is for me to say, it is safer that you remain in the dark for the time being until I'm certain you can defend yourself. Naruto sighed and said, I understand, Gigi. He really wanted to protest, but he was unable to do so because the Sandame was withholding the information from him in order to protect him. All right. I'll tell you everything once you're at Jonin level. I promise you that. Gigi, I'm holding you to that, Naruto uttered. Can you tell me anything about them? Though I understand they're shinobi, what about a house? Were they in possession of one? They did, indeed. It is not inside the town boundaries. You ask, but why? Anyo, I was hoping I could live there. Naruto-kun, do you not like your apartment? A full-sized house requires far more maintenance than a tiny apartment does. Oh no, Gigi. My apartment is wonderful. I mean, everyone in the village knows where I live, and people break into my apartment on a regular basis, Naruto sighed. I can probably bring some peace to the village and myself if I move to a place most people don't know about. It's also where I would have grown up if my parents had lived. Living in their home would mean a lot to me, even if you were unable to provide any information about them. After hearing that, how could he possibly consider turning down a request like that? However, there remained the problem that Naruto would be outside the village walls, unaccompanied and unprotected. This was one of the reasons Sarutobi had given the boy his particular apartment, given its proximity to the Hokage Tower. Still, he couldn't simply make his surrogate grandson stay where he was, so how could he do that? His gaze fell on Yugo, who had been observing the area in silence. That might work, he thought, nodding as he turned to face Naruto. Excellent, Naruto-kun. Come to my office tomorrow after you have your team meeting. I think I can let you live there, but there are a few things we need to sort out. His response was a big, beaming smile that said, "Thank you, Gigi." All right, then. I think today has been incredibly productive. Do you agree? Before we go to bed, how about we grab something to eat? Tomorrow is a busy day for you. Asu. Adorable slumber, the serene, angelic expression on Naruto's face. Shall we ruin that, please? Kit, wake up, the Kyuubi commanded. Not a reply. Kit. Moan. Oi, Kit. Snore. All right, you asked for it. Ahem. Meigetsu inhaled deeply and cleared her throat. Abandoned ship. Abandoned ship. We're taking on water. Ah. Whoa. Itai. He hadn't even thought before reacting. And now look at him, he was lying in a crumpled heap in the foul smelling dumpster outside his apartment building after jumping out of his open window. You win this round, Meigetsu. San. But mark my words, I will win the war. I'm excited about it, Kit, the Kyuubi replied with a giggle. Now go wash up. Your team meeting is in 1 hour. Hi, he complained as he climbed out. He inhaled a scent of himself. I'm going to need a shower. 30 minutes later, Naruto was roof hopping his way to the meeting spot mentioned in the note the Hokage had given him. He was the last of his teammates, excluding their Jonin instructor, which surprised me. Sakura doesn't seem to have received much instruction, huh? Most likely too preoccupied with pursuing Sasuke. Teme, he complained to himself. Even though he'd moved past his crush, he was still bothered by her ongoing interest in the moody bastard. However, Sasuke. Teme appears more powerful and haughty. Really conceited, I imagine he would have to physically bend backward in order to project an air of superiority upon someone if he attempted to do so. I feel bad for you, Kit. You have a duck. Ask Emo and his #1 fangirl for a team. Kami. Sama must hate you, despite your bloodline. To the amazement of his new teammates, Naruto leapt from the nearby building onto the roof of the academy while muttering a grumble in his head. That astonishment soon gave way to open mouthed shock upon realizing Naruto had changed. Nah. Naruto? Sakura stammered, not believing what she was seeing. The Jinchuriki just gave a nod. Glancing at him, she demanded, what in Kami? Sama's name happened to you? A whole new person took the place of the annoying, style blind knucklehead that had previously existed there. First of all, he looked really good in that outfit. It was so professional. Additionally, he appeared stronger, much stronger. He can't compete with my Sasuke-kun, though. She let out a mental squeal as she thought. Sasuke gives a small shudder. I simply thought it was time for a shift, Naruto uttered, totally unaware of Sasuke's unexpected unease. After all, if I want to be acknowledged by the village, I can't appear or be weak or useless. Right, Sakura? The pinkette flinched at that last comment, as if she had been hit. Though she hadn't given it much thought, Sakura had wondered a few times if she had been too harsh in disproving the blonde, particularly after learning that Naruto hadn't bothered her since that fateful day. Was that what caused this? This time, he left off the endearing suffix from her name. Those eyes as well. Blue, cold eyes staring down at her. Very similar to Sasuke's, but very dissimilar. It seemed to be peering into her very soul, and she felt as though he thought she was lacking. That was painful. Sasuke remained silent during the entire ordeal. No, he noted, that's what the Uchiha do. His eyes picked up on several key details about his transformed teammate even without the Sharingan. For example, the way Naruto was subtly shifting his weight back and forth, or how, even though Sakura appeared to be the center of his attention, his eyes would occasionally scan the area with unexpected sharpness. He's looking around, noting all possible exits, all possible weapons, everything. Naruto Uzumaki, what have you been doing for the last 2 months? He thought, squinting a little bit. But before he could consider it any further, their sensei appeared as a puff of smoke. It's 3 hours behind schedule. His eye was twitching again, damn it. The man said, yo, without even turning to face his new pupils. To the annoyance of the 3 genin, he was completely absorbed in a book that was known to contain smut. Triggered eye twitch in time. Sakura yelled, you're late. But got no response at all. He doesn't seem like much, Naruto observed, seizing the chance to assess the Jonin. He was dressed in the traditional Jonin uniform and stood tall, easily over 6 feet, with silver hair that defied gravity. His hite 8, which was slanted to conceal his left eye, and the mask covering his mouth and nose were the only features of him that were noticeable. He wasn't what one would anticipate from an elite Jonin overall. Is this man real? Be careful, Kit. Despite how he looks, this man is strong. He's easily in the top 20 in Konoha, the Kyuubi be warned. Top 20? Do you mean business, Meigetsu? San? Absolutely. I'll teach you later, but I can sense this man's chakra. It's one of the larger ones I've felt from you humans. It's good to know, thought Naruto, casting the man in a different perspective. Even so, a drop of sweat surfaced. Is it not against the law for someone to read smut in front of children? The man finally stopped reading and looked at each of his students, as if reading his thoughts. He briefly fixed his gaze on Naruto but otherwise showed no reaction to his new outfit. All 3 of the genin became tense as the tension in the air increased, and he then grinned. Yo! Sakura and Naruto cried out, you already said that. At each other. Once more, Sasuke twitched. So you little kids are the new Team 7? He shot each of them a severe glance. My first impression of you is that you'll either be an interesting team or I'll hate you all. Sounds like a sweat drop. Well, we'll see which one it ends up being. Now sit down and introduce yourselves. Sakura hesitantly said, What would you like us to say? Things you like, things you hate, dreams for the future. Stuff like that. Anyo, do you think you could start first, sensei? Sure. My name is Kakashi Hitaki. My likes are, reading, among other things. Dislikes, hobbies, I think I'll keep that to myself. As for my dreams for the future, well, you're all too young to know that. Their sweat grew. There was no reply. But if you want to know, I'll tell you. Good answer. Now, you, Pinky. You're next. Sakura scowled at the moniker, her shyness from before vanishing as soon as she heard the jab at her hair. Okay. My name is Sakura Haruno. My interests. She giggles as she casts a sidelong glance at one of Uchiha. My hobbies, she says, turning back to face Sasuke, who was starting to feel very uneasy. My aspirations for the future. And perhaps. Her face became as radiant as a tomato, and a drop of blood fell down her lip. When she turned to face the object of her affections again, she saw Naruto in his place and the Uchiha frantically trying to escape the girl as far as they could in their meeting area. What just happened? Naruto blinked, startled. Did he just use the Kawarimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique, to forcefully switch places with me? I hate to say it, kid, but he's good, or scared. Really, really scared. Personally, I think it's the latter. That girl's mind just went straight to the gutter. It might even be the gutter. That is unsettling. A girl has needs. She is 13 years old. Girls mature sooner than boys. And I'm willing to bet she's also a closet pervert. Just be glad it's not you she's after. Closet perverts always have a lot of weird fetishes. I wouldn't be surprised if she's into BDSM. It's unbelievable that I'm thinking this, but I might feel sorry for Sasuke right now. Kakashi responded, moving right along, making it obvious that he was uncomfortable with a teenage girl having romantic ideas about her teammate. Your turn, duck. Ass. Naruto laughed. Sasuke grimaced. Sakura was unaware of it. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, the young man with raven hair said. He glared at the pinkette, saying, I have very few likes and many dislikes, mainly my thousands of fangirls. Of course, she missed the hint. My hobbies are training and learning new techniques. I have no dreams either, but rather an ambition. To restore my clan and kill the man responsible for its demise. That revenge will be his downfall if he keeps that mindset, Kakashi thought, not surprising given his past. He gestured toward Naruto. And finally, our resident blonde. Naruto simply laughed. The boy smiled at the shocked expressions on his teammates' faces and said, My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are trying out new things, the few people that see me for me, ramen, and reading. My dislikes are people who can't see past their prejudices, perverts, fangirls, true criminals, and traitors. My hobbies include training, hunting, studying seals, inventing new techniques, and cooking. My dream, Naruto took a breath. For most of the last 2 months, he had been trying to figure out what he wanted out of life. He still desired recognition and protection from the villagers, but was he really going to be able to become Hokage given the deep rooted animosity the village had already developed toward him? Would it even be sufficient to achieve his goals? Maybe it would be better to be something other than Hokage, like, my dream is to become a legend. The sheer conviction and resolve that drove that statement caused eyes to widen. Naruto didn't make a boast about it. No, he gave the impression that it was inevitable that it would occur. What took place in the last 2 months? He's really changed from before, thought Sakura and Sasuke. Despite what he carries, it appears that Naruto is the most interesting and typical of the group. Hey, I could really come to like these kids after all. Maybe. Probably not, Kakashi thought as she got to her feet. Okay, now that we all know a little bit about each other. His students' eyes twitched collectively once more. Let's head on down to Training Ground 7. We'll begin your test there. Sakura questioned, test? What kind of test, sensei? Survival training. But we already did that in the academy. A shiver ran down each of the teenagers' spines as they heard, yes, you did, but not my brand of survival training. Think of it as a test that will prove to me that you can be true shinobi of Konoha. In fact, that is exactly what it is. If you pass, then it means that you're ready for active duty. However, if you fail, you will be sent back to the academy. Kakashi gave them a menacing grin. And just so you know, my test has a 67% chance of failure. I hope you're ready. He then disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Ground of Training 7. Alright, kids, this test is easy. He said, ringing 2 bells. You 3 have until the timer goes off to get one of these bells off of my belt. You are to come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise, you will fail, Kakashi said. But Sakura noticed something. But, Kakashi. Sensei. There are only 2 bells. The elderly man grinned. The 3 genin stiffened instantly. Exactly. Whoever doesn't get a bell will automatically fail and be sent back to the academy. The timer will sound at noon, which is 2 hours from now. And just so you know, whoever fails to get a bell will also be tied to one of these posts behind me and I will force you to watch me eat your lunch in front of you. Suddenly, 2 large growls appeared as if on cue. That explains why the note advised against eating breakfast. Damn him, Sakura and Sasuke thought. Luckily, Naruto had disregarded that rather silly note's instruction. Throughout his early years, the Hokage had often reminded him that food, especially breakfast, was essential for any shinobi to have. I'm happy I had something to eat at that time. Still, something doesn't seem to add up. I simply can't identify it, though. How about it, Meigetsu? San. On the other hand, the Kyuubi said nothing. Yes, she was aware of the test's hidden meaning. After all, she was an ancient demon lord. She was aware, though, that she was unable to guide her vessel through everything. No, regardless of the repercussions, he would have to solve this puzzle on his own. Well, if you three are ready, just remember to come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise, you won't stand a chance. The teenagers nodded. Sasuke and Sakura instantly leapt into the trees to hide and make plans. Alrighty then. Begin. But Naruto remained where he was, still trying to decipher the true meaning of the test. Naruto? Inquired Kakashi. The teenager raised an eye. You do realize this is a test, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what's the catch. Catch? A tiny smile appeared beneath the Jonin's mask, though it remained hidden. Has he really come to a conclusion? Naruto sighed in exasperation, not sure. It's right on the edge of my tongue, but it keeps escaping me. I'll think on it more in a bit. Kakashi questioned, oh, so are you going to hide now? Although the boy hadn't figured it out yet, he had at least looked beneath the underneath, which made him a little less disappointed. In a sec. But first, I want to try something. What's that? Anyo, can I have a bell? Please? The man gave an emoji smile. Nope. But good on you for trying. I don't think anyone has ever done that before. With a smile on his face, Naruto started slowly accumulating chakra for a technique he could perform without using hand seals. I'm Konoha's #1 unpredictable shinobi for a reason. True. Speaking of which, futon, repusho, wind release, gale palm. The Jonin was completely unprepared for the sudden gust of wind that struck him. The man was thrown into the air, and he surely would have had a very intimate and painful encounter with the dirt if it weren't for his many years of training. He performed an elemental ninjutsu without using any hand seals. Knowing Chunin, I know that's impossible. As Kakashi turned over and softly touched the ground, he thought to himself. Let's see what else he can do. The one-eyed Jonin suddenly moved between them and threw a punch that landed with lightning speed. To his surprise, Naruto parried the blow, allowing the Cyclops' fist to strike his raised boot. Then, he used the momentum of the punch to propel himself backwards, creating a hand seal in the process. Rather than landing one Naruto, 20 did. Attack! Exclaimed the first person. Asu. As he confronted the clone's head. Kakashi thought, the kid's smart. He ducked under their kicks and in a matter of seconds, he had scattered 7 of the copies and was well on his way to eliminating the rest. He's trying to keep his distance from me by using clones and that weird taijutsu style of his, the Jonin said, toppling one of the clones, flipping through a set of seals, and inhaling deeply. Kaiten. Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. A powerful orange firestorm burst into being, quickly destroying the majority of the clones in its path as it advanced toward the original. Suijin. Suijinheki, water release, water encampment wall. The wave of water crashed into the flames, instantly dousing Kakashi's one remaining eye. He has access to 2 distinct elements. Your son, Minato Sensei, is amazing. 3 doppelgangers of his pupil materialized out of the steam, their legs ready to strike. Apal, shoulder. Collier, neck. Muton shot, Mudden shot. With 3 fierce kicks, the Jonin's guard was forcefully raised and pushed back several feet, his arms going numb. What power! This is way beyond what a genin ought to be able to do. As Kakashi attempted to move one of the clones away, he was pushed back by a series of more kicks. This is the first taijutsu style I've ever seen. Is he limited to using his feet and legs? It's surprisingly adaptable. After blocking another kick, he regretted not using chakra to reinforce his arm. Hazardous as well. I haven't even had time to visit Sakura or Sasuke's location. With their jaws set firmly in the ground, the 2 genin were observing their teammates fight at the moment. And the exact same thought was going through both of them. How had Naruto grown to be so powerful? It was absurd. The former dead last in their class was apparently on par with, if not better than, an elite Jonin in just 2 months. Naruto's strength has increased. He's really competing with Kakashi Sensei in his fighting. Would I be able to accomplish that? Is he truly more powerful than I am now? Sakura bit her lip as she thought. How? Sasuke became enraged. How did the drug become so potent? I require that authority. You just wait, Naruto, I'll find out your secrets. I needed to kill him. I'll outperform you. He got to his feet cautiously, opening his chakra without making a sound. This is my chance to show how far I've come, and I can't let Naruto beat me here. To find out how near I am to getting my comeuppance. I'll seize the opportunity when I see it. Luckily for him, the chance arrived rather quickly. As it turned out, Kakashi had his hands full since Naruto had created several more clones using the steam produced by their colliding ninjutsu attacks. 2 more clones appeared for everyone he destroyed. He swore, there's no end to them. And used a well-aimed punch to destroy a clone before turning around and kicking 3 more. His patience was quickly wearing thin, but he didn't want to have to break his self-imposed handicap of fighting at Chunin level. And more arrived still. We're a one-man army. You can't take us all on, Kakashi. Sensei. Yeah. The taunts made Kakashi grit his teeth and decide it was time to stop these clones. The shinobi slapped his hand on the ground, sealing it with his hand. Their feet changed as they heard, Doden, Yomi Numa, Earth Release, Swamp of the Underworld. The once solid earth turned into a thick, viscous mud that quickly ensnared every clone in the area. They were ensnared. Kaden. Hosenka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. Numerous tiny fireballs descended upon the defenseless clones, scattering the majority of them, and those that persisted quickly burst into flames as the swamp itself ignited. Where is the original now? Kakashi scanned the field, thinking. His gaze soon fell upon the Jinchuriki, and he spoke 2 words after witnessing the boy complete a rather lengthy seal sequence that he recognized with a hint of horror and surprise. Well, shit. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. With the force of a meteor, the dragon-shaped torrent of water crashed into him. And it continued after that. Instead, it continued to smash through numerous trees and rocks until the chakra that was powering it was finally depleted. What about Kakashi? Well, he vanished like a cloud of smoke. Naruto's gaze expanded. Kage Bunshin. Naruto, you're not the only one who knows that trick, a voice from behind him remarked. Wham! Naruto was so stunned by the haymaker that he staggered back, looking twice. Without a doubt, if someone else hadn't raised an objection, Kakashi would have completed the task and rendered the teenager unconscious. And you should be more aware of your surroundings, Kakashi. Sensei. Sasuke had noticed his gap. Kakashi turned and raised his arm in time to deflect the Uchiha's unexpected roundhouse kick. The Jonin grabbed onto the limb and exclaimed, "Nice try, Sasuke." Kun, but not good enough. But Sasuke was far from finished. Sasuke swung his body around and unleashed a right overhand, but it froze when it came into contact with the elder shinobi's hand. Relentlessly, the boy lowered his body and swung his free leg to strike his teacher's head, but Kakashi blocked the blow once more, this time by lifting both arms and unintentionally revealing the bells on his belt. Just what Sasuke was hoping for. When Kakashi noticed the Uchiha's hand heading directly toward the bells, his eyes grew wide. Shit. He threw the boy away right away and leapt back with incredible speed. The bells continued to jingle, but they stayed on the Jonin's belt. The Uchiha swore, damn it. And crouching down after his hand had already broken through several seals. Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. Sasuke and Naruto first? Amazing. Even as the roaring flames crashed into him, Kakashi thought to himself. When the prodigy let the technique end, the massive flames consumed the whole space in front of the genin, destroying everything in its path and leaving behind a smoldering crater. However, the Jonin was nowhere to be found. What had happened was only visible on a burned log. He'd been so close. Replacement. TCH. The bells were touched by him. He'd touched them, just barely. Had Kakashi not had such an absurd reaction time, he would have passed that instant and taken a step closer to exacting his revenge. He's gone. Turning around, Sasuke saw Naruto approaching him after Kakashi had finally given him the haymaker. Though his head ached a little still. He's probably out looking for Sakura. Then I'll find him. And you better not get in my way. I need to get those bells. Naruto grimaced. After that, there was no way in hell that he would have been able to thank the Uchiha for saving him as well. The jerk had a real knack for irritating him. You're not planning on rushing back in there, are you? You don't stand a chance. The implied insult incensed Sasuke. I touched the bells. Can you say you've done that? To the surprise of the Uchiha, Naruto countered, I'm not trying to get the bells. What? Why not? If you don't get a bell, you'll fail and be sent back to the academy. I understand that, but something doesn't seem to be adding up. Naruto angrily scratched the back of his head. I'm not sure what it is, but I know there's more to this test than meets the eye. Sasuke scowled. He realized that his blonde teammate was correct now that he wasn't solely focused on the test's apparent goal. There was a discrepancy in their situation. Why did the Hokage group the three of them, yet at least one of them faltered? It was nonsensical. In fact, aside from elite Jonin and Anbu, weren't the academy instructors saying that all shinobi squadrons would be divided into teams of 4? Hold on. Sasuke's eyes grew wide. That concludes it. Collaboration. Isn't that the main idea behind all of this? He turned to face Naruto, who was searching the area for their pink-haired teammate or Kakashi. Naruto. A single nod indicated that the Jinchuriki was paying attention. I think I've figured out the meaning behind this test, but we're going to need to find Sakura first. More quickly. I need to run more quickly. Sakura was running through Training Ground 7's dense trees as quickly as her feet would allow, and those were the only thoughts on her mind. She was aware that she was beyond her league after witnessing the battle involving Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi. Sasuke was the epitome of coolness and hotness, so there was no way in hell she could defeat the Jonin. She then took off running. She made her fastest run possible. The Pinkette knew that Kakashi was not far behind her, so the dense foliage around her blurred as she ran. She could sense him somehow, though she wasn't sure how. He was approaching quickly from 50 meters to the northwest. I am completely outmatched against him. I have to locate Naruto and Sasuke. Kun. Together, we might be able to take him. She hurried to the location where she knew her teammates had been last, thinking this. Sakura. Chan, came from behind her out of the blue. She turned and felt a shiver run down her spine. It wasn't good that Kakashi was standing directly in front of her. You did a pretty good job of avoiding me, but you need to work on being quieter. Sakura. Get down. Futon. Repusho, wind release, gale palm. Unexpectedly, a strong gust of wind ripped through the forest, almost hitting Sakura as she ducked and completely missing Kakashi, who had dodged with incredible speed. However, the intention had not been to harm him with the ninjutsu. Rather, it was merely a diversion. Naruto and Sasuke materialized from the bushes, the former slamming a hard sidekick into the hastily raised guard, the latter attempting to use several carefully thrown shuriken to cut the bells of Kakashi's belt. Kakashi yelled, "Oh no you don't," as he twisted to dodge the projectiles. Although he managed to save the bells, the shuriken came dangerously close to severing his weapons pouch and releasing its contents onto the ground, which included. No, Kakashi's eyes grew wide. His autographed copy of Icha Icha Paradise, limited edition. My precious. Sasuke yelled, making hand seals, Sakura. Grab the bells on our signal. Her normal fangirl tendencies were overridden by the stress of the situation, and she demanded back, what signal? You'll know. You ready, Naruto? Go for it. Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. Futon. Repusho, wind release, gale palm. Midway through their warpath toward their target, the two techniques collided and fused, and instead of a small torrent of fire and a gale of wind, there was a massive fireball that was at least twice as powerful as the first one, if the blue tinges visible throughout the flames were any indication. What about Kakashi? He was, of course, stunned to death. They just fused 2 rank jutsus to create a fireball of death that is easily categorized as low A rank. And it's directly in my direction. I have to get moving. With a narrow escape, he dove away from the flaming ball of death that destroyed everything in its path. But his last minute dive also left him vulnerable, allowing Sakura to slice the strings holding the bells with a kunai. Sasuke and Sakura swiftly moved in to seize the bell, akin to hungry animals, while Naruto, sensing that Kakashi was about to intercept his allies, launched another round of kicks at the Jonin to keep him at bay. Yada! Exclaimed Sakura. I got a bell. That means I get to stay with Sasuke. Kun. Sasuke's expression had changed from one of sheer horror moments before to one of pride just moments before. After glancing at the bell, he turned to face Naruto. The Naruto ring. Naruto started to say something, but Kakashi, who had just approached them and appeared completely unfazed by having almost been burned alive, interrupted him. Well, I have to admit that you all are very skilled, but it appears that you, Naruto, do not have a bell. That means you fail and have to go back to the academy, said Kakashi. The real test is about to begin. Will they gel as a team, or was that just a, in the moment, kind of thing? Sakura instantly experienced a surge of guilt upon hearing this. She was aware that, overall, not much had been accomplished by her. Although she had been the one to truly cut the bells off Kakashi's belt, she most likely would be returning to the academy right now if Naruto and Sasuke hadn't intervened to save her and give her the opportunity to do so. I have to decide what to do. Her father had often told her to do what is right or what is easy, but she had never really realized how tough that choice could be until recently. With a sorrowful smile on her face, she said, Naruto deserves this bell, not me. And after what I said to him at graduation, it's only right that he gets to move on. Maybe I can train myself to be as good as Sasuke. Kun and Naruto during the year I'm back at the academy. She took a deep breath to bolster her confidence and faced the blonde boy who had once had a thing for her. Naruto, he said, glancing at her. All eyes widened as one person said, take my bell. Her voice was sad but determined, you and Sasuke. Kun were the ones who did all the work. You've earned this, not me. And it's the least I can do after what I did on graduation. She was confident in her decision. To everyone's surprise, Sasuke said, no, Naruto, take my bell. This action was so unlike anything Uchiha had done that even the Hokage and the Kyuubi, who were watching everything through their crystal balls, were taken aback. They made a clear demonstration of cooperation because, unbeknownst to them, Sasuke was certain that this was just another test. That, and he would avoid having to form a squad with a fangirl if it turned out that he was mistaken. Naruto, though, shook his head. With a determined sparkle in his eyes, he turned to face Kakashi and said, no. You both have a bell, meaning you both pass. I'll. He raised his leg into his starting stance, prepared to kick a hole through his opponent if needed, saying, I'll fight Kakashi. Sensei for my spot on this team. A stifling atmosphere descended. As Naruto and Kakashi scowled at one another, challenging each other to initiate contact, a sense of power descended upon them all. Suddenly, the Jonin grinned. You pass. You all pass. Sakura cried out, we all pass? But how? While Naruto and Sasuke straightened and grinned the same. Wait, did you two know about this already? Uchiha gave a shrug. It was a hunch I had earlier. We were taught back in the academy that all shinobi besides elite Jonin and Anbu operatives were put into squads of 4. Why would the reality be any different? I realized that this test must be designed to test teamwork. Kakashi pointed out to the 3 genins, it's more than that. Understand that as shinobi, you must put the village before all else, be it your own future aspirations. He glanced at Naruto. He glanced at Sasuke and said, revenge. He turned to Sakura and said, or personal relationships. That does not mean, however, that when you put on that headband, you essentially promise to cast aside those things for the greater good of the village. Kakashi cut the 3 teenagers off in his interjection. That you have to give those very things up. By supporting the village, by being a teammate to each other and Konoha as a whole, you too will also be supported. Konoha will help you and support you in your endeavors in any way it can, whatever they may be. Your individual strengths will flourish, and with teammates of equal prowess at your side, teammates that you trust who feel the same for you, there is no telling what you can't accomplish. He grinned at them. That is why you passed. You 3, despite your differences and dreams, show the ability to make those difficult choices. To be a true comrade to each other, it's not an easy thing, I know. But believe me when I say that it's worth it. The trio of young people exchanged glances. He looked at them all with a sharp, deep expression and said, no matter where you 3 go in the future, I want you to remember this. They say that those who break the rules and codes of the shinobi are trash. But the truth of the matter is that those who forsake and don't care for their comrades are even worse than that. Just then, a beam of sunlight broke through the shade and lit up the newly formed Team 7. Understanding flooded their impressionable minds, bringing a beaming grin to Naruto's, a giggle to Sakura's, and a smile to Sasuke's as the sun warmed their hearts. Their instructor's words would remain etched in their hearts for eternity. Kakashi gave a thumbs up. All three of you pass. Congratulations to the new Team 7. Report tomorrow at the Hokage's office at 8 a.m. for our first mission. Hi. The White Fang's son grinned and reached back to retrieve his autographed book, only to discover it was gone. But Sasuke and Naruto already cut open his weapons pouch, don't they? In the rush of the moment, he had forgotten. Then, it must be lying around someplace. The Jonin searched around for his priceless book, but he was unsuccessful. He hurried over to the burned ground after his students' combined attack. His heart grew icy. No, no. Say it isn't so. There was a little mound of ash in the middle of all the damage. The only discernible component of that ash was a tiny piece of paper that revealed a portion of one kanji. Icha's kanji. Something broke. Oh boys. When Sasuke and Naruto turned around, they saw Kakashi vanish and then reappear with a clone right behind them. Konohagakure Hiden. Taijutsu no Ogi. Senengarashi, Hidden Leaf Village Secret Finger Technique, 1000 Years of Death. That's for my precious book. The Boundaries of Konoha. This is it, Naruto. Kun. This is. Indeed, Naruto. Kun. This location is it. This is your house. Naruto and the Sandaime Hokage were standing outside the village 2 hours after Kakashi's test, staring at a modestly sized compound surrounded by walls. It served as his residence. The residence of Naruto. He could not take his eyes off the spot that was rightfully his. Running his hands over the walls, the Jinchuriki thought to himself, this is where I would have grown up and had my parents survived. It was an unusual encounter. With a melancholic wink, Sarutobi ushered the young man inside. The compound itself resembled the Hyuga clans in design, but it was smaller overall and encircled by the dense forests of Konoha. The main house had 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, a huge kitchen, which delighted Naruto, large living and dining rooms, an office, a library, and a sizable backyard that was perfect for training. It was on the larger side. When Naruto had done his exploring, the Hokage had taken him to the master bedroom, where Sarutobi had, to his astonishment, shown him a staircase concealed behind one of the bookcases. "Wa?" was his query. "You will see in due course. Proceed, Naruto-kun." The two went downstairs and were soon in a spacious room that was easily twice as big as his previous apartment. And a pedestal in the middle of the chamber held a blade? Still, it was quite lovely. Its shape was akin to that of an O. Katana, with a long, silvery, white blade that was engraved with shimmering gold runes and slightly wider than usual. The pommel was intricately carved, with 3 golden wings encircling a white jewel, while the handguard was a plain gold disc. Overall, a blade that the angels of heaven themselves could use. Gigi? Tell me, Naruto-kun, how much do you know about your bloodline? Well, not really that much. I am aware that it is known as Tentai, heavenly body, that it grants me access to celestial chakra, a more advanced type of chakra connected to Sidon, holy release, and that I will one day be able to develop wings to enable me to fly. A smile full of nostalgia appeared on Sarutobi's face. Yes, exactly. Those wings of angels. For those who were lucky enough to activate them, they were truly a sight to behold. Nay, Gigi, do you know why so few Uzumakis activate their bloodline? I actually do, in fact. The activation's underlying circumstances are what make it so challenging. In the face of hardship, the person must have the completely selfless desire to save or protect another without considering how this will benefit them personally. This explains why it is so challenging to awaken the heavenly body, or Tentai. Any Uzumaki member who deliberately tries to awaken it is doing so with the intention of helping themselves, which disproves the requirements. Oh, I see. It wasn't that hard now. So, what does that have to do with the sword? The clan head alone is authorized to wield this sword, Naruto-kun, as it is an heirloom belonging to your clan. When used properly, it is one of the few weapons on the planet that can summon celestial chakra and is a very potent instrument. He motioned for Naruto to pick up the sword. Naruto, this is your birthright. Tenyu, the fabled sword of the Uzumaki clan, is this.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.